Chapter 121. I haven't lost any weight, it seems like I've gained some. Alright, let's get in the car first. The chairman and the others are still waiting for us in the imperial capital. After Wang Xiaoye finished speaking, he helped Su Luli get into the Rolls-Royce in the middle, and Gu Feng followed closely behind the two of them and got into the car together. Except that he was sitting in the passenger seat. The two young ladies in charge of carrying the luggage sat in the front and back cars, each carrying something. Let's go. After saying a few words to the driver in the driver's seat, the car started up and set off towards the airport in the demon capital. Along the way, Wang Xiaoye took the initiative to chat with Su Liuli in a low voice, and Gu Feng had nothing to do, so he had to look out the window. The vehicle was moving very slowly, and it took quite a while to get to the airport in the demon capital. Fortunately, there was no need to do any check-in, and after passing through airport security, they went directly to the special boarding gate to board the plane. 10 minutes later, the private jet took off from the Devil City Airport and flew directly to the Imperial City. Liuli, it will take a while on the road, so if you get tired, just take a nap. Here is a clean blanket, put it on so you don't catch a cold. Wang Xiaoye found a blanket from somewhere and put it in front of Su Liuli. Thank you, Xiaoye. You're welcome. Her eyes narrowed into slits as she turned her head to look at Gu Feng next to her. Feng, do you want a blanket too? I don't need one, I feel the temperature is just right. The temperature on the plane is not low at the moment, and he is not a person who is afraid of the cold. He might even feel too hot if he sleeps under a blanket. Okay, then you guys rest. I'll be right in front, so if you need anything, just let me know. Bye, Liuli. With a slight flick of her slender eyebrows, Wang Xiaoye turned and walked towards the front of the plane. As someone who has been there, she didn't want to be the third wheel here. The interior of the plane was very spacious, and she would be more comfortable sitting in the front. I'm going to sleep. Are you sure you don't need a blanket? Don't catch a cold. With both hands, she picked up the blanket in her arms and slowly spread it open, and Su Liuli turned her head and whispered softly to Gu Feng. Go to sleep. The blanket is so big, if I feel cold later, I'll share it with you. I don't want to share it with you. She turned her head, her face radiant with beauty, and gave a soft grunt, while quickly wrapping the blanket around her, lest she really be pulled over by Gu Feng and share the blanket with her. She was always being unfaithful at home, and now on the plane, she was really worried that Gu Feng would make a move. You have to understand that there are more than just the two of them here. If they are seen by others, she will be ashamed to show her face in the future. Watching Su Liuli wrap the blanket tightly around herself, Gu Feng didn't say a word, and as he turned his head slightly, he was only left with a side view of her angelic face. Is that it? Fine, I'll sleep too. Su Liuli closed her eyes and slept with her head tilted to the side, and Gu Feng folded his arms in front of him and also closed his eyes. As the flight continued, the temperature in the plane continued to drop. After an unknown period of time, he suddenly felt something unusual in front of him, and his body suddenly became much warmer. Gu Feng opened his eyes dazedly and was surprised to find that Su Liuli had, at some point, taken half of the blanket on her and put it over herself. Still lying on her side, her graceful and delicate body unconsciously revealed a kind of natural charm. The other person was sleeping soundly, so Gu Feng did not dare to disturb her. Holding the blanket with one hand, he slowly closed his eyes again. He was half asleep and half awake, not knowing how long it had been. A familiar voice faintly sounded in his ears. Xiaofeng, Liuli, wake up, we will arrive in the imperial capital in 10 minutes. Opening his eyes, Wang Xiaoye didn't know when she had come to his side, calling out to the two of them earnestly. Almost there? How did the time pass so quickly? Lifting his hands to stretch, Gu Feng turned his head to look at Su Liuli next to him. The other party obviously still hadn't woken up, her pure and fair face full of confusion. You slept so soundly, but time didn't pass quickly. Gu Feng got a cold look, and Wang Xiaoye walked straight up to Su Liuli. Liuli, are you thirsty? I'll get you a glass of warm water. Sister Xiaoye, I'm not thirsty. I just woke up, I should drink some water and sit here and wait obediently. Sister Xiaoye, please get me one too. Okay, got it. With a simple reply, Wang Xiaoye turned around and left, and in a short while, she came back with 2 glasses of water. Drink some water first, the plane is about to land soon, we need to sit tight. 2 glasses of water were handed to the two of them, and Wang Xiaoye sat on the empty chair next to her while fastening her seatbelt. 5 or 6 minutes later, the plane began to land slowly. Once the plane had landed smoothly, the cabin crew opened the cabin door as soon as possible. Let's get off the plane. The chairman and the others should already be waiting outside. Taking care of Gu Feng and Su Luli getting off the plane, the group walked towards the outside of the Daidu International Airport. Just as Wang Xiaoye had said, outside the airport, Song Huilang and Gu Feng's grandmother had been waiting by the car for a long time. As for Gu Jinghua, he really couldn't get away due to work, so he didn't come to greet them. Huilang, Liuli, and Xiaofeng, why haven't they come out yet? By the time, they should have arrived already. The kind eyes of the elderly woman revealed a little expectation. She heard that her grandson and granddaughter-in-law were coming back again, and she couldn't tell you how happy she was. Mom, don't worry, they should be here soon. As soon as Song Huilan finished speaking, her phone rang in her hand. She picked up the phone and saw that it was Xiaoye Wang calling. Xiaoye was calling, so they should have arrived. While saying this, Song Huilan looked up into the distance, and sure enough, she saw Gu Feng and the others at the airport exit at a glance. It really was these two children. At the same time Song Huilan and her grandmother saw Gu Feng and the others, they happened to notice them as well. They hurriedly came to their grandmother and her mother-in-law. Su Luli's face flushed slightly as she said, "Grandma. Girl, you've finally arrived. Let Grandma see if you've lost any weight." She gave a kind smile, gently took Su Luli's wrist, and looked at it carefully. You haven't lost any weight. It seems like you've gained some weight. You almost have a little belly now." Grandma's casual and happy comment immediately made Song Huilan and Gu Feng feel awkward. Su Luli's pretty face was blank, and she didn't know how to respond. "Grandma, I don't know what time it is, let's go home first." After such a long flight, both Liuli and Xiaofeng must be tired. Wang Xiaoye spoke up in time, and when Grandma heard this, she immediately took Su Liuli and Gu Feng's hands and walked towards the business car behind them. Driving back to the Gu Manor, Grandma kept chatting with Su Liuli in a low voice the whole way. Even Song Huilan, the daughter-in-law, couldn't get a word in. After finally returning to the manor and entering the living room, before the mother and others could sit down, Gu Feng looked around and saw the fish tank placed on the far left of the living room at first glance. "Ha! Mom, didn't we eat this fish?" "No, this fish is smaller, did my dad buy a new one?" Standing in front of the fish tank, Gu Feng pointed at the blood-red dragon inside with his finger, and then turned his head in surprise to look at his mother Song Huilan. Chapter 122 Waiting to hold a great-grandchild. Seeing that Gu Feng was thinking of catching this fish again, Song Huilan's face changed slightly, and she hurriedly came to him. She spoke carefully and lowered her voice. "What are you thinking of doing? Rascal, I'm telling you, this is a blood-red dragon that your father went to great lengths to get back, and it must not be eaten under any circumstances. You must not trick Liuli into eating this fish, or your father will not spare you when he returns." With her back facing the living room, Song Huilan muttered in a voice that only the mother and son could hear. No one knows but her, but she knows very well how much effort Gu Jinghua went to in order to get this fish back. "Well, I didn't trick Liuli into wanting to eat it herself. What do you think should be done?" He spread his hands, acting like he had nothing to do with it. He didn't trick Su Liuli, but if the other person wanted to eat it herself, then it was not his fault. Phew! If Liuli wants to eat it on her own initiative, then you can only blame your father for his bad luck and his lack of affinity with this fish. If the daughter-in-law wants to eat it, then it's a matter of a sentence. She took Gu Feng's hand and led him away from the fish tank. When they reached the sofa, Grandma was already asking Su Liuli what she wanted to eat for dinner. "Mom, let's eat out tonight." "Not at home." "Why do you suddenly want to eat out? Isn't everything fine at home?" She picked up the kettle and poured a cup of warm water for her mother-in-law. "Mom, this isn't Jade Feng heard Xiaofeng and Liuli come back, and wanted to invite them for dinner. It so happened that she also invited the rest of us." That being said, the actual situation was that Bai Yufeng had heard that she had to confess to her grandmother Gu Feng about being pregnant tonight, and she was curious about how the old lady would react to the situation, so she insisted on coming along to see what happened. This girl, Yufeng, just loves a good time. Never mind, since she wants to treat, then let her. "Girl, today your grandmother and your aunt are kind of in your debt, someone is treating us to dinner." "Ha ha ha ha." The old lady laughed happily, and Su Liuli sat next to her, unable to say anything, so she just had to smile along. They chatted in the living room for nearly an hour. After an hour, Gu Jinghua returned with long strides. Upon seeing Gu Feng and Su Luli, he asked if they were tired. After learning that they were going out to dinner that night, he wasn't at all surprised, as if he had known it all along. "Mom, it's getting late, so let's go. We'll eat early, so Luli and Feng can come back early and rest." They watched the time as it quickly approached 5 o'clock. If they left now, they would be able to finish eating just before 7 o'clock. Good. Luli, hold on to Grandma, and let's go together, you and me. Grandma Su Luli and Su Luli helped each other up, and Song Huilan and Guzhengua, who were standing nearby, were shocked. This wasn't a grandparent and grandchild, it was a pair of clumsy people. An old lady in her 80s and a pregnant woman, the two of them holding onto each other, it was just scary. Xiaofeng, what are you doing just standing there? Follow Luli and help your grandma get into the car. At the critical moment, Song Huilan gave Gu Feng a wink, and sensing her mother's gaze, Gu Feng instantly understood. He quickly walked around the sofa to Su Liuli's side to prevent any accidents from happening later. The car left the manor, and Bai Yufeng's booked hotel was near the Gu Manor, mainly for everyone's convenience. When Gu Feng and the others arrived in front of the hotel, Bai Yufeng and the hotel manager had already been waiting at the door for a long time. Huilan, this way. Gu Feng, Liuli, old lady, raised her hand to greet them. Bai Yufeng came to Grandma Gu Feng's side with a happy face. The next second, a pair of hands gently helped Su Liuli up, and her eyes unconsciously looked at Su Liuli's belly. Liuli, how have you been? Are you feeling unwell? Aunt Bai has booked pigeon soup for you, I heard it is especially good for your health. Holding Su Liuli's arm, Bai Yufeng kept on talking, eyeing the other person without any intention of stopping. Song Huilan had no choice but to go up and interrupt. Yufeng, let's go in quickly. Everyone is hungry. Right, I forgot. Manager Wang, please lead the way. Hearing Yufeng's words, the manager, who had been waiting nearby, turned around and led the way, taking everyone to the innermost luxurious private room. Manager Bai, shall we serve the food now? Go ahead. Yes, bring the pigeon soup first. The pigeon soup was specially prepared, and in any case, Su Liuli must try it first. Aunt Bai, I'll just have the plain rice, there's no need for pigeon soup. No, you're exactly the time to build up your strength, your mother-in-law doesn't look after you, so I'll look after you. Today pigeon soup, tomorrow chicken soup, the day after pig trotters. Within 2 months, Aunt Bai guarantees to fatten you up. She spoke quite confidently, and Grandma Gu Feng, sitting next to Su Liuli, looked at Bai Yufeng with a surprised expression. Yufeng, what's wrong with you, girl? As soon as we meet, you want to strengthen Liuli's body. Is Liuli not feeling well? I'm an old person with a slow reaction, and you, girl, have been a strange child since you were little, and you've got me all confused. After she finished speaking, Grandma shook her head with a bitter smile. She really couldn't tell what Yu Bai Feng was trying to do. Old lady, Xiao Feng and Liuli have been dating for a while now, are you satisfied with this granddaughter-in-law? Winking at Song Huilan, Yu Bai Feng asked Grandma Gu Feng with a smile. Of course I'm satisfied. I'm extremely satisfied with Liuli. She's gentle and refined, elegant and generous, and to be honest, she's just as good as the daughter-in-law in my dreams. Grandma's opinion of her granddaughter-in-law Su Liuli is quite high, and even among the talented women of some big families, no one can get such a high evaluation from Grandma. Facing Grandma's praise, Su Liuli felt a little embarrassed. I feel the same way. Liuli is indeed an outstanding child. So when do you think it would be a good time for them to get married? The sooner the better, of course. As your grandmother, I can't wait for these two to get married. I'm waiting to hold my first grandchild. In a few years, my health will only get worse, and I may not even be able to hold a grandchild. Grandma sighed lightly. For her, even when she dreams, she wants to hold her great-grandchildren. Ahem. Old lady, if I were to tell you that you will be able to hold your great-grandchildren soon, would you be particularly happy? Yufeng's words were shocking, and Grandma, who was sitting next to Su Liuli, was stunned for more than 10 seconds. Yufeng, what did you say? You will be able to hold your great-grandchildren soon? What does this mean? Chapter 123 Grandma, don't get excited. The old lady looked at Song Huilan next to her in surprise, her eyes full of doubt. Mom, don't get excited. Xiaofeng, what's going on? You have to explain to your grandmother. At this critical moment, Song Huilan chose to dump the burden on Gu Feng. Originally sitting next to Su Liuli, he was fine, but as soon as he heard his mother's words, Gu Feng's heart lurched. Asking him to explain to his grandmother himself was like pushing him into the fire. If his grandmother knew that he had been hiding it from her, she would definitely not react well. Cough cough. Mom, I'm a bit of a klutz, so maybe you should explain to Grandma. You knew about it from the beginning, didn't you? She shook her head, and the ball was kicked back to Song Huilan. Looking at Gu Feng, Song Huilan's eyes narrowed slightly, her teeth clenched with anger. She had said that he should explain, but he had unexpectedly turned around and pushed the matter onto her. What are you two up to? What do you mean you knew about this from the beginning? What's going on? Xinhua, you explain to me. Gu Feng and Song Huilan kept on passing the buck to each other. Grandma's expression was serious, her gaze falling on Gu Xinhua, who was sitting across from them. A moment ago, he had acted as if he didn't care, but the next second, his own mother had asked him to explain. Well, actually, there's not much to explain, Mom. He smiled awkwardly, his eyes darting to Song Huilan sitting next to him. After much hesitation, he whispered, it's just that, Liuli is pregnant. Pregnant? What pregnancy? Liuli is pregnant. His pupils trembled, and the old man's face paled. He rose unsteadily, his gaze finally falling on Su Liuli. Huilan, Xinhua, is this true? Liuli is pregnant? The old man looked nervous, and from the slightly trembling back of his hand, it was clear that he was very excited inside. Mom, don't get excited. We've been meaning to tell you about this for a while, but we were worried that you'd get too excited, so we never dared to mention it. Good, Gu Xinhua, you were worried that I'd get excited, but now you're not worried anymore, are you? You dared to hide such an important matter from me. I'll teach you a lesson today. Grabbing the walking stick beside her, Grandma raised her hand as if to teach her son a lesson. Seeing this, Su Liuli hurriedly got up to stop her. Grandma, wait. Gu Feng quickly walked around Su Liuli and went to the old lady, reaching out to take the cane she was holding. Grandma, my father didn't mean to hide it from you either. He was also worried about your health. For the sake of Liuli and me, just let it go. Gu Feng's words sounded like he was pleading for his father Gu Xinhua, but in fact he was absolving himself completely. You little brat, what a scheme you've come up with. You're putting it all on my father. Hiding behind Song Huilan and listening to Gu Feng's words, Gu Xinghua's nose nearly turned crooked with anger. He had seen shameless people before, but never had he seen such shamelessness. What did this have to do with him? That brat Gu Feng, as the instigator, had even begged for the forgiveness of an innocent elder. Humph. For the sake of Su Liuli, I will let you off today. After saying this sternly, he put down his walking stick, sat down, and turned his head to look at Su Liuli next to him, his attitude taking a direct 180-degree turn. Su Liuli, how long have you been pregnant? Why didn't you tell your grandmother earlier? How are you feeling? Her tone was gentle, and she took Su Liuli's hand, her kind face full of smiles. Su Liuli's pure and flawless face was like a piece of exquisite warm jade. She spoke softly, 2 months. 2 months. Girl, have you gone to the hospital for a checkup? Grandma will take you to the hospital tomorrow. Pregnancy is no trivial matter. You must pay attention to your health. Mom, Xiaofeng, and Liuli have already been checked in the Magic City, and there is nothing wrong with her body, everything is normal. The doctor recommended an interim checkup at 16 weeks, and there is still almost a month until the next checkup. What you should be concerned about now is the engagement ceremony for the 2 children. Song Huilan's face was beaming with a spring breeze smile, her son was about to get engaged, and she, as a mother, could not be happier. Engagement? What engagement? Liuli and Xiaofeng getting engaged? Grandma's gaze fell on the 2 next to her, Su Liuli and Gu Feng, and then on Gu Xinhua and Song Huilan. You two, just how much are you still hiding from me? When were the 2 kids going to get engaged, and why didn't I as their grandmother know? After all, she was the eldest in the family, and she had no idea about such an important matter as the kids getting engaged. Mom, don't be angry, it's just that Xinhua was worried about your health, and asked us to find a good time to tell you. Song Huilan said cheerfully, while Gu Xinhua, sitting next to her, looked even more shocked than if he had eaten shit. Wife, you. He raised his hand, stammered for a long time, and in the end, he didn't say anything. How does he blame everything on him? This is not leaving him any room for survival. Xinhua, I knew it was your bad idea. Let's eat first, I'll scold you when we get home. Huilan, the last time you went to Liuli's house, you were there to discuss the engagement date, weren't you? Grandma Gu Feng's words left Song Huilan stunned. Mom, how did you know we went to Liuli's house? It was better not to ask, but as soon as Song Huilan asked, her grandmother smiled. Although I'm old, I'm still pretty sharp. You 2 went to Liuli's house to discuss things, and you thought I wouldn't find out? I was suspicious at the time, too. Why were the parents of both sides meeting in such a hurry? It turns out that Luli is pregnant. What did the in-laws say? Has the date of the engagement been set? Overwhelmed with joy at the prospect of having a great-grandchild, the old lady was in a good mood. Otherwise, given her character, she would have wanted to settle the score with Gu Xinghua. It's set. The 17th of this month, which is less than 10 days away. If you count carefully, there are less than 10 days left until the engagement. What, the 17th of this month is the engagement? Huilan, you've been keeping it well hidden, how come you didn't tell me? Bai Yufeng sat on the side, and upon hearing that Gu Feng and Su Liuli would be getting engaged on the 17th of this month, her expression was greatly surprised. According to her thinking, the engagement date would have to wait until at least next month, and she never expected it to be set for the 17th of this month. I haven't seen you for a while, and I haven't finished the invitation yet. I'll send it to you as soon as it's ready. No one will be missing, but you. According to Bai Yufeng's personality, if Gu Feng really didn't notify her of the engagement banquet, she would have to break up with her. Okay, I'll wait for your invitation. Xiao Feng, Su Liuli, congratulations in advance to the two of you. Raising the glass in front of her, Bai Yufeng took a big drink. Seeing this, Gu Feng and Su Liuli followed suit and returned a drink. The date of the engagement is set, but has the date of the wedding been set yet? Chapter 124, Booking the Hotel. Not yet. We've discussed it with Grandpa Liuli and decided to let the two children get engaged and apply for a marriage certificate first. We can wait to get married. Getting a marriage certificate is necessary for the children to be registered, and as for getting married, it's fine to do it after the children are born. Well, since you've already discussed it, then let's do it as you've decided. Liuli, if you need anything, just tell your aunt. Don't be shy about it, you can just tell Grandma. An engagement is no small matter. Our family will definitely throw you a grand celebration. Today is a joyous occasion. Yufeng, order the restaurant to serve more delicious dishes, and I'll pay the bill. The old lady's face was full of smiles. Her granddaughter-in-law was 2 months pregnant with her first grandchild, and with 2 other children about to get engaged, she, the grandmother, was simply overjoyed. This was the first time she had been so happy in over a decade. Very well, madam, I'll go right away. But you can't pay, it's been agreed that I'll be the one to pay today. Bai Yufeng stood up, spoke, and then turned and walked towards the outside of the private room. A few minutes later, Bai Yufeng returned from outside, followed by 2 waiters, each carrying a plate of food. Liuli, this is the pigeon soup that Aunt Bai prepared for you. It's freshly made and delicious, try it. Pulling out a chair and sitting down, she gestured for the waiter to put the pigeon soup in front of her, and Bai Yufeng took the spoon and took the initiative to spoon a spoonful of pigeon soup for Su Liuli. Thank you, Aunt Bai. She carefully took the pigeon soup from Bai Yufeng's hand and slowly placed it in front of her. Aunt Bai, what does pigeon soup taste like? Let me try some too. Even though he grew up in the imperial capital and had lived a life of luxury, he had never drunk pigeon soup before. He had eaten squab a few times, and it did taste very good. You want to drink pigeon soup? Not for you. A proud look glanced at Gu Feng, and the next second, Bai Yufeng's mouth slightly raised a slight arc. In fact, if you say something nice, you can't say that pigeon soup is not for you to drink. Something nice? Aunt Bai, what do you want to hear that's nice? Well, for example, praising you, Aunt Bai, for being young and beautiful, with outstanding temperament, and so on. Do you mean to tell me that I have to teach you this? Gu Feng awkwardly held up the bowl, and after a long silence, he put the bowl back on the table in front of everyone. Song Huilan and Gu Xinghua were overjoyed at this scene, and even Su Liuli couldn't hold back her laughter. Great! Gu Feng, what do you mean? Are you looking down on your Aunt Bai? Are you itching for a beating? I just wanted the brat to say something nice, but I never expected him to put the bowl back. This is just too much. No, Aunt Bai, don't be angry, I was just joking with you. You are gentle and generous, virtuous and beautiful, just like a fairy come down to earth. After all that babbling, whatever Song Huilan heard sounded particularly perfunctory. Alright, Yufeng, hurry up and spoon some soup for the child. Don't spoil him. Song Huilan, the mother, couldn't even listen to the words of praise from Gu Feng. Fine. Rascal, I'll remember you, Aunt Bai. Furious, she took the small bowl in front of Gu Feng and ladled a full spoonful of pigeon soup onto it. As time passed, the remaining dishes were also served one after the other. Each dish was exquisite, and without exception, all of them were very suitable for pregnant women. The table was full of sumptuous dishes, all specially prepared by Bai Yufeng for her niece-in-law. After dinner, it was already past 7 o'clock. Huilan, are you going to take Lioli and the others to look at hotels tomorrow? Can you take me with you? I'm so bored. Bai Yufeng put down her chopsticks and looked at Song Huilan, who was sitting next to her, with hopeful eyes. She usually liked to join in the fun, and she couldn't miss such an important event as Gu Feng's engagement. Sure, but I want to ask, do you have any recommended hotels? Of course I do. How about this, tomorrow I'll take you to pick out a few hotels and guarantee the quality. Not to mention, she really knows a lot about these large hotels in the imperial capital. Every time she comes back from abroad and doesn't want to go home, she stays in a different large hotel. She has also seen several wedding banquets and engagement banquets held in the ballroom, and overall they are quite good. Xinghua, you go busy tomorrow and let Yufeng follow us to choose a hotel. It so happens that Gu Xinghua is a bit tied up, so it would be fine if Bai Yufeng could go with us. Okay. Yufeng, thank you for your hard work. It's okay, that brat Gu Feng is like my own child, helping him choose a hotel is the least I can do. Isn't that right, Gu Feng? Bai Yufeng looked at Gu Feng with her teeth clenched, her expression clearly showing that she was still upset about the praise she had just received. Cough cough, yes yes yes. Aunt Bai is the best. Huilan, can you take Mom with you tomorrow morning? Both children are getting engaged, and Mom also wants to go and join in the fun. I'm actually quite worried about this child, Lioli, and I can still take care of her if I go alone. Grandma Gu Feng sat next to Su Lioli and was originally very satisfied with her granddaughter-in-law. After hearing that Su Lioli was pregnant, she couldn't wait to hold her in the palm of her hand. Song Huilan looked at Gu Xinghua, who paused for a moment and gave a bitter smile. Mom, you want to go with us too? You're not in good health, and you're thinking of taking care of Lioli, but maybe it's Lioli who'll be taking care of you. Your mother and I aren't in the best of health, but we can still move around, so there's no problem taking care of Lioli. My girl, do you want your grandmother to go with you? When it became clear that she couldn't convince her son and daughter-in-law, the old lady immediately changed her target. As long as her granddaughter nodded in agreement, her son and daughter-in-law wouldn't say anything. Now Su Lioli is the apple of the family's eye, and no one can go against her. After a moment of silence, a determined look flashed across her pretty face. Mom and Dad, why don't we let Grandma come with us? We can take care of each other. With her delicate features and curved eyebrows, Su Lioli didn't forget to lift her little foot and kick Gu Feng's calf while she was talking. Gu Feng, who was sitting quietly, felt Su Lioli kicking his calf and immediately understood. Yes, Mom and Dad, Lioli is right. Grandma will be pretty bored at home alone. Let her come with us. It's not like it's a big deal to pick a hotel. With both children saying this, Song Huilan could only nod and agree. Okay, then let's go together. They say that having an old person in the family is like having a treasure. Bringing along your mother-in-law might actually be able to help. Wait. Lioli, what did you just call them? Parents? Did I hear you right? After waiting for a while for the conversation to finish, Bai Yufeng promptly chimed in. She had clearly heard Su Lioli address Song Huilan and Gu Xinghua as parents. Of course you heard me right. Lioli and Gu Feng are going to get engaged soon, so shouldn't I call her Mom? A sense of pride welled up in Song Huilan's heart as she was called Mom by her daughter-in-law, and she beamed with satisfaction. Chapter 125, She's got a lot of stamina. Look at how happy you are. Ha ha. You're right, wouldn't you be happy if you had a daughter-in-law like Su Lioli? Song Huilan gave Bai Yufeng a cold stare. In her opinion, if Bai Yufeng had a daughter-in-law like Su Lioli, she would be so excited that she wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Ha, of course I'm happy. Song Huilan and Bai Yufeng were chatting, and when they heard this, Grandma gently took Su Lioli's soft, bony little hand. She leaned quietly towards her granddaughter's shoulder and whispered, Lioli, did Huilan give you any money to change your name after you called her Mom? If not, Grandma will get it for you. Ha? No, Grandma, she did. Su Lioli's face froze. She really didn't expect that Grandma, who was normally so serious, could say such a thing. And she even wanted to ask for the money for changing her name for her. That said, she had previously given her a secondary card with 200,000 yuan of daily limitless payments, so what was the need for a change of mouth fee? Gu Feng sat silently in his chair, listening silently to the family members chatting around him. After all, he was the protagonist of the engagement banquet, but now he was being directly ignored. They continued to sit in the private room and chat for nearly an hour. After an hour, it was Gu Jinghua who took the initiative to propose that it was almost time, and everyone, including Grandma, got up and prepared to leave. Xiaofeng, take care of your grandmother and Liuli and get in the car. Good. Nodding, Su Liuli supported her grandmother, and Gu Feng followed closely behind the two. After leaving the restaurant, they greeted by Yufeng, and Gu Feng and the others got into the car one after the other. The car started and returned to the Gu Manor. Everyone did not go back to their rooms to rest first, but instead, they came to the living room sofa one after the other and sat down. Liuli, wait here, I'll go into the house and get something. Huilan, you come with me. She patted the back of Su Liuli's hand and, while getting up, did not forget to ask Song Huilan to follow her. What is Grandma going to do? Her long hair fell down, and Su Liuli stroked her forehead, full of curiosity. Gu Feng sat next to her, and he also had no idea why Grandma had gone back to the house. I don't know either. But looking at Grandma like this, I know that she doesn't seem too excited about the fact that you are pregnant. What do you think, Dad? This doesn't seem like Grandma's character, does it? Before, whenever the old lady mentioned having a great-grandchild, she couldn't sit still with excitement, but now that she really has a great-grandchild, she's acting so calm. It's really unexpected. I don't know what's going on. Gu Jinghua sips his tea and shakes his head slightly. A few minutes later, the door to Grandma's bedroom opens. Song Huilan is carrying a suitcase in her arms, while Grandma is holding a small notebook in her hand. Mom, let me help you. What's in here? Is it heavy? He reached into his mother's arms and took the box, feeling it carefully. It wasn't heavy at all, and it must contain some clothes. Liuli, Grandma wants to ask you, do you like sour or spicy food? Grandma, I don't know. That's okay, do you like boys or girls? Let me tell you first, our family is not one that values boys over girls. Grandma likes both boys and girls. These are some baby clothes I made before, but they're a bit old-fashioned. Grandma plans to remake them. This is a name list. Let's each think of a few names, one for a boy and one for a girl, so that when the baby is born we won't have to worry about choosing names. Oh dear, when Grandma thinks about holding her great-grandchild soon, her heart pounds so fast she can't sleep. Holding Su Liuli's hand, Grandma kept talking. This scene directly made Gu Jinghua and Gu Feng look dumbfounded. Xiaofeng, didn't you say your grandmother wasn't excited? Do you see this as being excited? This stamina is quite strong, nothing happened during dinner, but she can't even sleep well when she comes back. Putting down the teacup in her hand, she reached into the suitcase and took out a little outfit. It's true that she's quite excited. Grandma, you need to calm down a little, you still need to get a good night's rest, otherwise you won't have the energy to take care of your precious great-grandchild when it's born. Yes, Mom. The style is a little old-fashioned, but for a child, it doesn't really matter. I'm really excited. Grandma, calm down a little, you still need to get a good night's rest, otherwise you won't have the energy to take care of your precious great-grandchild when it's born. Yes, Mom, you need to get a good night's rest. If you get sick, when the baby is born, you'll just have to watch us take care of it. Isn't that right, Liuli? Song Huilan winked at Su Liuli while she spoke. Mom is right, Grandma, you must take care of your health, we are waiting for you to help us with the baby. With her quick and intelligent eyes, like stars in her head, her slender hands tightly grasped her grandmother's wrist, and every move she made was full of unique charm. As long as you two children don't mind having me as your grandmother, I will help you with the baby. Let's first look at the names. Liuli, do you have any particular favorite characters? The old lady flipped through her little notebook, and the two sat together to choose a name for the unborn baby. Grandma, please be careful when choosing a name. Names like Gu Dibai and Gu Gooden should be avoided if possible. The child won't like them. Gu Feng scratched his head awkwardly. When it came to naming, he clearly remembered what his father had told him last time. Don't worry, your grandmother has to listen to Liuli's opinion now. Song Huilan laughed lightly, turned around, and walked to the kitchen, washing 2 plates of fruit. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, it was already past 10 o'clock. After eating 3 or 5 slices of orange, Gu Feng looked up at Su Liuli and his grandmother, who were still carefully selecting names. Grandma, it's getting late, why don't we call it a day? The baby isn't due for a long time, and there's no rush for such an important thing as choosing a name. Mom, Feng is right, we don't have a problem sleeping late, but Liuli is pregnant and needs to get to bed early. Song Huilan spoke, and the old lady slowly put away the booklet in her hand. Liuli, let's stop here for today. and I'll accompany you to pick them out later. Go back and get some rest early. The bedroom is still set up the same as last time. If you feel uncomfortable anywhere, I'll have someone change it for you tomorrow. Following her grandmother, Su Lioli hurriedly shook her head. Grandma, don't go to that trouble, the bedroom environment is already very good. Compared to living in a dormitory, the room at the manor is already better than it can be, and nothing needs to be changed. That's good. We don't need to get up early tomorrow morning, so let's set off in the morning to choose a hotel. Go back and rest obediently. She patted Su Lily's head, her eyes full of affection. Chapter 126. Let you have more children. Grandma, Mom and Dad, you all get some rest early too. Gu Feng got up and led Su Lily back to the bedroom. Watching his grandson and granddaughter leave, the old man's gaze was soft, and an unconscious smile spread across his face. Look how happy our mother is. The temptation of having a great-grandchild is even greater than that of having a grandchild. Standing next to Song Huilan, Gu Jinghua laughed lightly. Upon hearing this, the old man immediately turned around with a cold face. Jinghua, Huilan, I haven't had the chance to settle scores with you two yet. Lioli is pregnant and you two are hiding it from me, you've gone too far. Sitting down again, Grandma pointed her finger at her son and daughter-in-law. At the restaurant, in front of the grandchildren, I didn't dare scold them, but now that we're alone in the living room, I must settle the score with them. Mom, we were just worried about your health. Actually, to be honest, Feng is to blame for this. He didn't let us tell you. You really are a father and son. The son is blaming the father, and the father is blaming the son. In this matter, Feng did nothing wrong. Not only was he right, he was also helpful. Our family has only one heir. If it weren't for Feng, how could an old woman like me have a great-grandchild so soon? You have to blame yourselves. I told you to have more children, but you wouldn't listen. The elderly woman sat on the sofa with her walking stick, scolding the two of them. Gu Jinghua and Song Huilan could only stand silently and listen. On the issue of having children, the two of them were surprisingly in agreement. Gu Feng was such a handful to raise, and if they had more than one, the family would be in chaos. Long time. Wife, it's late, let's go back and rest. While his mother was speaking, Gu Jinghua quietly leaned over and whispered in Song Huilan's ear. In this way, while the old man was still complaining, the son and daughter-in-law had already begun to quietly prepare to leave. By the time Grandma looked up, the two of them had already run far away. Mom, it's late, Huilan and I will go back and rest first. You rest early too. They quickly finished their conversation, without looking back, and quickly headed upstairs to the second floor. Xingui, Huilan. You two kids, can't you just listen to me finish what I'm saying? Watching the two of them disappear from sight, the old lady put her walking stick upright, looked around, and before leaving, collected the name list to one side. In the blink of an eye, it was the next day. At 5 a.m., Gu Jinghua got up to go to Yundu to attend an economic conference. He had just come down from his room and, without thinking, glanced into the living room. He paused slightly and looked surprised. Mom? His mother had got up at some point and was now sitting in the living room, busy with something. Hearing someone call her name, Grandma Gu Feng slowly looked up and pushed her reading glasses on her nose with one hand. Jinghua? You're up so early, what are you going to do? I'm going to Yundu to attend an economic conference. Mom, why are you up so early? What are you doing? Making clothes? She came to the sofa, holding a needle and thread in her hands, with some silk cotton and some bright red small pieces of fabric next to her. It was obvious that she was making clothes. I couldn't sleep in my room either, so I had nothing to do but make some clothes for the baby in my belly. Last night when I returned to my room, I couldn't sleep and kept tossing and turning in bed. My mind kept thinking about my great-grandson. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't sleep anymore, so I got up and made some clothes for the baby. Gu Jinghua looked shocked and said with a wry smile, Mom, you're so old, why bother with this? It's so convenient nowadays. When the baby is born, let's go and order some clothes for the little one. Your eyesight isn't good anyway, so don't waste your energy on this. Can clothes bought from outside be the same as those made by your own family? You should go about your business and don't disturb me here. By the way, has Huilan got up yet? Let her accompany me to buy some silk cotton outside later, there's not enough. Pointing to the pile of silk cotton in front, these are only enough for one set of clothes. Since they are preparing clothes for their future great-grandchildren, one set is definitely not enough. At least they need 3 or 4 sets of clothes so that they can be replaced when they wet or soil them. Huilan is tidying up the house, so I expect she'll be down in a while. I still have things to do, so you take care of your health, and rest if you're tired. Since persuasion was useless, Gu Zhenghua simply didn't say anything more. He knew his mother's personality very well. Once she made up her mind, nothing could change it, not even if you pulled her in 8 different directions. I understand. Responded, put on his reading glasses, and continued to lower his head to sew. In his sleep, Gu Feng suddenly felt a sharp pain in his arm. He opened his eyes dazedly, and Su Liuli was in his arms again, not sure when she had snuggled up. Her head was leaning against his chest, her slender arms tightly wrapped around his, and one of her legs was draped over his lower body, preventing him from moving. Phew! She's so pretty, but she sleeps so restlessly. Can't she be a little more quiet? Nodding, he looked over at Su Lili, who was sleeping soundly next to him. Gu Feng lifted his other hand and gently pinched the other person's blushing face. It was incredibly soft, and the feel was really extraordinary. Perhaps the movement was too large, but Su Lili, who was sound asleep and lying on top of him, suddenly slowly opened her eyes. Her long eyelashes fluttered gently, and her head was still lying on Gu Feng's chest, her gaze full of curiosity. You're awake? How did you sleep last night? Was my body still comfortable? Realizing that she was lying on top of Gu Feng, Su Li's face turned red with embarrassment, and she hurriedly sat up. I'm sorry, I must have dozed off last night. Before going to sleep last night, she had clearly turned around and fell asleep with her back to Gu Feng, worried that she would sleep restlessly and climb into his arms. But she didn't expect to wake up this morning and find herself in his arms anyway. It was only 6:30, not very late. Do you want to sleep a little longer? Then he sat up, rubbing his aching arms while asking Su Liuli. No, I slept well. Let me help you. She reached out and pulled Gu Feng's arm in front of her, gently massaging it. After a minute or two, the aching feeling in his arm gradually disappeared, and the two got up to get dressed. They tidied up and came out of the room. Normally, at this time, their parents would not have woken up yet, but their grandmother would have been up for a long time. However, when the two of them arrived in the living room, they didn't see their grandmother anywhere. There were a few unfinished small clothes on the sofa and coffee table, and there was also a pair of reading glasses next to them. Huh? Strange, Grandma hasn't woken up yet? Looking around in confusion, they saw Wang Ma, who had just come from the kitchen to prepare breakfast, coming out. When she saw Gu Feng and Su Liuli, she hurriedly came up to them. Miss Su, you're up. How was your rest last night? I was just about to serve some hot dim sum that I made with some of the maids. I'll bring you a plate. Have you seen my grandmother, Wang Ma? Chapter 127, Grandma is going back with you. Old lady? The old lady and the lady went out early in the morning, saying that they were going to buy silk cotton. Before going out, the old lady specifically instructed that after you two got up, you could have breakfast first and didn't need to wait for them to return. Wang Ma explained softly while standing in place, and Gu Feng and Su Luli exchanged glances, with different expressions. So early in the morning, going out to buy silk cotton? What's the point of buying silk cotton? Grandma must be thinking of making clothes for the baby, right? While mumbling, he inadvertently noticed a few small cotton padded jackets placed on the coffee table with the corner of his eye. It was easy to tell from the style and size of the jackets that they were definitely for the newborn baby. Su Luli went to the sofa and gently picked up the exquisite, small, and cute cotton padded jacket with her hand. She had a pretty face with big, bright eyes that exuded an innocent and radiant glow. Is it too early to make clothes for the baby? We may feel it's early, but Grandma won't think so. I guarantee that when the baby is born, she will have prepared more than 10 different kinds of clothes for the baby. Gu Feng and Su Liuli stood in front of the sofa talking to each other, while Wang Ma took the opportunity to turn around and walk into the kitchen. In less than 2 minutes, she arrived at the sofa with a plate of fragrant snacks. Miss Su, this is just made 100 flour cake. How does it taste? There are so many fresh flower petals in it, it's delicious. She placed the plate in front of Su Lili. Just to make this 100 flower cake, they went to the flower garden behind the house early in the morning to pick fresh flower petals. The petals of various flowers were mixed together, and the 100 flower cake exuded a fresh and elegant floral fragrance. It was hard to tell which flower the fragrance was from. Wang Ma stood still, smiling as she watched Su Luli put a piece of the multiflora cake in her mouth. Miss Su? How do you feel? Does the multiflora cake still suit your appetite? It smells so good. Wang Ma, you're a wonderful cook. This is the best dessert I've ever had. Surprise shone in her elegant eyes. She always loved dessert, and this piece of multiflora cake in her hand was, without exaggeration, definitely the best dessert she had ever had. If you have time, could you teach me? I want to learn from you. Of course I can. Miss Sue, I'm available anytime, depending on your schedule. If you want to learn quickly, I'll prepare some ingredients this afternoon and I'll teach you myself when you get back this evening. With your intelligence, you'll definitely be able to learn it in no time. Wang Ma was very happy that the young mistress of the house wanted to learn to make dim sum with her. For Su Luoli's current status, it would definitely be condescending for her to go to the kitchen with her to learn to make dim sum. You two have some dim sum here first, and I'll go take a look in the kitchen. We'll get ready for breakfast right away. Wang Ma, there's no need to rush. In my opinion, we should wait for Grandma and Mom to come back before eating together. It's still early, and there's this plate of 100 flour cakes in front of us, so there's no need to rush breakfast. That's good. I'll go prepare some warm water for you too. This cake is dry, so you need to drink some water while eating it. Wang Ma told Gu Feng and Su Liuli to sit on the sofa and wait while she went next door to get 2 glasses of warm water. From almost 7 o'clock until almost 8 o'clock, more than an hour had passed, but Grandma and Mom still hadn't returned. They're not back yet? Where did they go to buy silk cotton? I'll give them a call. He got up, took out his phone, and prepared to call Mom. Before the dial tone could be heard, at the front door of the living room, Song Huilan supported Grandma Gu Feng as they slowly walked in. Behind them were 2 maids, carrying 2 large bags full of silk cotton. Grandma! You're finally back. Where have you two been this early in the morning? When her mother and grandmother returned, Gu Feng went up to them at once, and Su Luli followed suit when she saw this. Grandma, there's still a long time before the baby is born, so it's too early for you to be preparing clothes. Stepping with graceful steps to the other side of her grandmother, Su Luli raised her arm and skillfully took the old lady's arm. Luli, you don't need to persuade your grandmother, I've told her countless times on the way here. It's useless. Taking the old woman's other arm, they walked straight to the sofa in the living room. Mom, please sit down first. It was a lot of trouble waiting up this early in the morning for this natural silk cotton. Song Huilan said, lifting her hand to pick up the glass of water not far in front of her and bringing it to her lips for a sip. Luli, Grandma wants to prepare it for you in advance. Not only for your baby in your belly, but also to prepare something for you. You'll definitely need it when you go into confinement. Huh? Grandma, you're thinking too far ahead if you're already thinking about confinement. Gu Feng's mouth opened slightly. He never would have thought that his grandmother would prepare clothes for her unborn grandchild, let alone clothes for Su Liuli when she goes into confinement. Su Liuli was at a loss for words for a moment. After pondering for a second or two, she looked at her grandmother, who was looking serious, and a smile appeared on her beautiful face. It's okay, I actually like the clothes you make with your own hands very much. Taking her grandmother's hand, Su Lili continued softly, Grandma, I don't have much experience, can I learn with you? I also want to make a few clothes for the baby myself. My girl, you want to learn to make clothes with Grandma? Really? She was so excited that she grabbed her granddaughter's hand. If it weren't for her poor health, she would have jumped up in excitement. It's not a big deal to go back and forth for her great-grandchildren, and now she's also gained the affirmation of her granddaughter-in-law, so the old lady is beyond happy inside. Of course it's true. A pair of bright eyes, like 2 shining stars, crystal clear. Su Luli smiled sweetly, continuing with her delicate and charming face, but I may not be able to do it tonight. I have to learn to make baowa cake with Wang Ma tonight, and I'll learn to make clothes with you tomorrow, okay? She had just promised Wang Ma that she would learn to make the 100 flowers cake with her, and Wang Ma had already said that she would go in the afternoon to prepare the ingredients for the cake. She couldn't go back on her word. It's fine, Grandma, don't worry. You want to learn to make clothes with Grandma, and Grandma is more than happy. Grandma has already thought about it, and this time when you go back to the demon capital, Grandma will go back with you and take care of you there. She gently stroked Su Luli's pale hand with her own. However, Song Huilan, who was standing next to her, slightly trembled when she heard her mother-in-law say this, Mom, you want to go back to the demon capital with Lioli? Song Huilan was slightly surprised, and so was Gu Feng. His eyes were wide and full of disbelief. Grandma, are you going back with us? The journey is long, and your health is not good, so don't go back and forth, okay? If you let Grandma go back with them, then won't the good days in the demon capital come to an end? Chapter 128, Unconcerned with the Affairs of the World. It's not a big deal. Your grandma's body is not that delicate. It's just a trip to the demon capital, not a trip abroad. Grandma's face was beaming with a kind smile, and her kind eyes looked at her granddaughter next to her, revealing deep affection. Xiaofeng, if your grandma is willing to go with you, let her go. Tomorrow morning, I'll find you some ants to go back with you. Song Huilan said, quietly leaning towards Gu Feng and whispering in her ear, your grandmother and Liuli both need care. I'll find you some maids, and you can't refuse. You know your grandmother's health, and if you let her come along, she might end up taking care of Liuli. After all, they've lived together for more than 20 years, and as a daughter-in-law, she knows her mother-in-law very well. Don't be fooled by her gentle and polite demeanor. She is actually very stubborn and extremely protective of her own. If she makes up her mind about something, nothing can change it. Fine, I'll do as you say. Gu Feng didn't object, as he felt that what his mother said made a lot of sense. After sitting on the sofa for a while to rest and chat, the group got up and went to the dining room for breakfast when Wang Ma asked. Well, we'll have 100-flour cake for breakfast this morning. My dear, when you come back tonight, I'll have a real treat. You want to learn how to make this cake from Wang Ma, so let me be the first to taste it when you're done. You're so dexterous, so the cake will definitely be delicious. Sitting next to Su Liuli, Grandma's eyes revealed a deep sense of love. After all these years, she exudes a sense of calm and gentleness. Grandma, I haven't even started learning yet, and you're already making reservations. It's the first time I'll be making it, so I don't know if I can do it well. I suggest that you wait until I get more proficient before tasting it, otherwise it will be too bad and you won't be able to eat it. With a smile that concealed her beauty, Su Luli also started joking in front of her grandmother. Ha ha ha. Luli, don't worry, even if it really is bad, your grandmother won't say anything. As long as it's something the granddaughter made, she won't dislike it. Song Huilan was smiling happily across from Su Luli. When her grandmother heard this, not only did she not refute it, she even nodded along. While eating breakfast, the several people chatted quietly. After 10 minutes, breakfast was over. Grandma, mom, and daughter-in-law sat on the sofa to rest, while Gu Feng walked out of the living room alone to arrange the car. Just before they were about to leave, Bai Yufeng arrived. She was dressed very fashionably, wearing a trendy short jacket on top and a semi-tight long skirt on bottom. When she saw Gu Feng, Bai Yufeng's face broke into a smile. Good morning, Feng. Auntie Bai greeted him, and when she saw the way he was dressed, Gu Feng's expression froze for a moment. Auntie Bai, you really are fashionable. Ha ha ha, it's okay. Today is a big day, I have to go with you too to pick out the engagement hotel, so I have to dress fashionable. Is your mother and Su Liuli in the living room? Hearing that Song Huilan and Su Luli were both in the living room, Bai Yufeng didn't continue to waste time with Gu Feng, and strode forward, pushing open the living room door and striding in. After arranging the car, Gu Feng returned to the living room. He had thought that the several people would be sitting in the living room chatting, but when he actually came in, there were only his grandmother and his mother on the sofa in the living room. Aunt Bai and Su Luli had gone somewhere. Mom, the car has been arranged. Where are Aunt Bai and Luli? Standing in the same place, he looked around, but he didn't see the figures of Su Luli and Bai Yufeng anywhere. Your Aunt Bai is taking Luli to change clothes, so let's wait here for a while. He raised his hand to indicate that Gu Feng should sit down, and Song Huilan glanced up at the distance in the direction of the bedroom. Change clothes? That's just your Aunt Bai's personality. She said that today was a rare opportunity to go out and pick out an engagement hotel, so she had to pick out some nice clothes for Luli to wear. Upon hearing her mother's explanation, Gu Feng paused slightly. Okay. After waiting quietly in the living room for nearly 20 minutes later, the bedroom door opened and the two of them finally came out, one after the other. Xiaofeng, Madam, Huilan, look, doesn't Luli look good? Taking Su Luli's wrist, Bai Yufeng quickly walked over to the sofa. At this time, Su Luli was wearing a bright yellow, elegant short-sleeved top, with slightly loose white casual pants on the bottom half of her body, and her dark hair draped over her shoulders like a waterfall. She stood obediently behind Bai Yufeng, one hand tightly held by the other party, and the other hand covering her face, afraid to take it down. Liuli, this outfit looks good. After all, your Aunt Bai has a good eye, unlike your mother and I. Why are you still blushing? Have you put on makeup? Take your hand down so your mother and grandmother can have a look. Song Huilan laughed lightly as she rose, taking the initiative to come to Su Liuli's side and remove the hand that was covering her face. The moment the slender hands left her face, a flash of surprise crossed Gu Feng's eyes, and even her grandmother was a little stunned. I have never seen Liuli wear makeup before, and I never thought the child would look so good with it on. Yufeng, is this the makeup you gave Liuli? Her face was clear and beautiful, as crystal clear as morning dew, with 2 light patches of blush on her fair face, and her eyelashes seemed to be curled up a little more. Standing behind Yufeng, she is like a fairy, so graceful that people dare not look directly at her. Old lady, just a simple touch-up on Liuli's face and skin, and you'll see the effect. It really is as the saying goes, lips do not need to be painted, but they are red, eyebrows do not need to be painted, but they are green. Without even a simple light makeup, a little touch-up instantly elevates the whole person's temperament to a higher level. Liuli, this is also very good looking. When I went out with Xiaofeng, I felt that he was not good enough for you. While praising her daughter-in-law, she also casually belittled her own son. Facing his mother's words, Gu Feng could hardly argue back. The key was that he himself also had this kind of thought. In her current attire, Su Liuli looked like she was completely out of touch with reality. He is not a fairy, so how can he be worthy of a fairy? Mom, you're teasing me. Her face was flushed, and she didn't forget to glance at Gu Feng in the distance while talking. Okay, Mom won't say anymore. It's getting late, let's hurry up and pick a hotel. Your engagement is a top priority, you have to hurry. Yufeng, go pick the engagement hotel first, didn't you say there was a suitable hotel? Where should we go first? There are many places, let's talk in the car. Xiaofeng, help your grandmother, let's go. Chapter 129, 1000 Guests. When they walked out of the living room, the car was already waiting outside. They helped their grandmother into the car first, followed by Su Luli and their mother, including Aunt Bai. Driver, let's go to the Cloud Hotel on Binhai Road first. Okay. After seeing everyone in the rearview mirror had fastened their seatbelts, the driver started the car and headed towards the Cloud Hotel as reported by Bai Yufeng. The Cloud Hotel is not very far from the Gu Manor. It is not in the city center, so the location is a bit remote, but the environment is nice and there is relatively little traffic. Huilan, how many guests are you planning to invite for the engagement of the 2 children? Song Huilan, sitting next to her, asked curiously. Leaving aside the Gu family, there is a large group of people from the Song family alone, including friends and relatives. If you really invite everyone, a banquet hall will definitely not be enough. Phew. I'm worried about this. Liuli, what do you 2 think? Grandpa Su's side proposes to keep it simple, but the key is not knowing how to keep it simple. Normally, for this engagement banquet, either no guests are invited, just the family having a meal together, or everyone is invited, and the banquet will definitely be a big one. Mom, we'll do whatever you say. Whatever I say? Song Huilan heard this and a wry smile appeared in her eyes. Silly girl, you're really putting your mother in a difficult position. If we do things the way I want, there's only going to be one engagement in your life, so we should do it big or do it not at all. I just don't know, do you like a big crowd? Well, I like it. Ruddy lips parted slightly as Su Luli nodded her head slightly. Luli likes it, so it's going to be a lot easier. Let's go to the Cloud Hotel and have a look later. If they don't work out, we can go somewhere else. Bai Yufeng spoke up immediately, and Song Huilan agreed. In less than 20 minutes, the car pulled up outside the Cloud Hotel. As the group got out, a middle-aged man in a suit came up to them quickly. President Bai, you're here. I'm sorry for not coming to meet you. On seeing Bai Yufeng, the middle-aged man quickened his pace and hurried up to the group. Mr. Shin, it's been a long time. How's business? Thanks to you, the hotel's business is pretty good. Mr. Bai, who are these people? Shin Tao knew Bai Yufeng, but didn't know Song Huilan and the others. There was no way around it. Given his position in the business world, he was already quite fortunate to be able to reach Bai Yufeng, and as for Song Huilan, he was simply unable to get in touch with her. We're family, and we're here to take a look at your banquet hall. We're looking for a venue for my nephew's engagement. In front of everyone, Bai Yufeng directly labeled Gu Feng as the nephew who had just gotten engaged. Oh, so it's your nephew. Don't worry, as you instructed over the phone, I cleaned the banquet hall this morning and will show you around. Please come inside. Respectfully stepping aside, he held up his hand to make a gesture of invitation. Seeing this, the managers in the distance hurriedly took a few steps to the side. Led by Shintao, the group strode into the hotel lobby. The entire lobby was resplendently decorated, with many guests coming and going, as well as some hotel staff walking back and forth. Lao Su, who are these guests? Shin personally came to greet them, so he must have been waiting at the door for more than 10 minutes. I don't know the others, but I've seen the woman talking to Shin before. She's the overseas head of the Kyushu group. He often stays at our hotel. The lobby manager, surnamed Lao Su, muttered, he often goes to the top floor to deliver toiletries, and I've seen Bai Yufeng several times. Kyushu Group. A multinational conglomerate. No wonder General Manager Shin is so concerned, going out of his way to greet him at the door early in the morning. Under the leadership of Shin Tao, everyone took the elevator to the 6th floor. The entire 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th floors are ballrooms. In addition to wedding and engagement venues, some companies' annual dinners and gatherings are also held here. President Bai, this is our number 9 banquet hall, which is often used as an engagement venue. There are about 30 round tables, which can accommodate more than 200 people. Compared to a wedding, an engagement ceremony is much simpler in terms of both scale and number of people. In his opinion, this number 9 banquet hall should be about the right size. Huilan, isn't this number 9 banquet hall a bit too small? There are more than 200 guests from the Daido side alone. Mr. Shin, this banquet hall 9 is a bit small. Is there a bigger one? Song Huilan stepped forward and asked Shin Tao. As Bai Yufeng had said, for a normal invitation, there would be no fewer than 200 guests from the capital alone, not to mention guests from other places across the country. For such a big event, the guests' positions should be as comfortable as possible and not be too sparse. This is too small? Well, Mr. Bai, I wonder how many guests we have. Bai Yufeng looked at Song Huilan, who was silent for a moment, not yet ready to speak, when the grandmother next to Su Luli slowly walked forward. Prepare us a banquet hall that can accommodate about 1,000 people. That should be about right. What? 1,000 people. Upon hearing these words, not only Shinzong, but even Su Luli was dumbfounded. For an engagement ceremony, the normal number of people would be a few dozen to a few hundred. She had never heard of anyone having an engagement ceremony with more than 1,000 guests. Even for a wedding, it's impossible to gather so many people. This a banquet hall for 1,000 people also exists. President Bai, Madam, let's go to the 9th floor. There are only 3 banquet halls on the entire 9th floor, 2 small banquet halls and 1 large banquet hall. That large banquet hall can accommodate 1,000 people. With 8 people per table, 1,000 people would require 120 tables, and the entire Cloud Hotel, there is only the number 1 banquet hall on the 9th floor that can accommodate it. Okay, let's go to the 9th floor and have a look. Taking the elevator to the 9th floor, the large 9th floor is very empty. On the left is the number 1 banquet hall that Shin Tao mentioned. It is indeed very large and basically occupies half of the entire floor. Opposite the number 1 banquet hall are 2 smaller banquet halls, which are slightly larger than the number 9 banquet hall. President Bai, this is the number 1 banquet hall, which can accommodate 1,000 people without a problem. If you like the environment, I will have it redecorated the day before the wedding. After Shin Tao finished speaking, Bai Yufeng did not reply immediately, but instead turned to look at her mother-in-law, who was standing next to Song Huilan and Su Luli. Mom, what do you think of this place? Chapter 130, Book the entire 9th floor. Bai Yufeng looked at Song Huilan, who then turned to her mother-in-law. Next to Su Liuli, Grandma Gu Feng looked around the entire banquet hall. Her hair was already gray, but it was always neatly combed, giving her a lively appearance. The space here is fine, and I just saw that there are 2 smaller banquet halls outside. Let's book all 3 banquet halls on the 9th floor. This extra large banquet hall should have no problem accommodating the guests. But then again, just to be on the safe side, we should reserve some more space. Guests have come a long way to attend the engagement banquet, and we can't let them not even have a place to eat. Well, Mom, you make sense. Mr. Shin, just follow what my old lady said and book all 3 banquet halls on the 9th floor for us. The price is negotiable. After working at the Cloud Hotel for so long, he has seen all kinds of guests, but this is the first time he has seen a guest who has booked all 3 banquet halls for an engagement banquet. And, madam, I don't know your name? He smiles awkwardly. After all this time, he still hasn't figured out what Song Huilan is called. My surname is Song. Surname Song. Hello, Miss Song, you want to book the 9th floor? I need to go to the front desk to check first. I don't know when your son's engagement date is? Ballroom 1 is definitely not booked, but he is not sure about the two smaller ballrooms next to it. If the guest wants to book the entire ballroom, he must check first. If there is a guest who has already booked in advance, and then he books the ballroom, that would be a big problem. The 17th of this month. The 17th of this month? The time is getting close. President Bai, Miss Son, Madam, please wait here for a moment, I will go to the front desk to check. He asked Gu Feng and the others to wait on the 9th floor, and Shin Tao took the elevator alone to go downstairs, quickly going to the front desk to check with the receptionist whether the remaining two private rooms on the 9th floor had been booked in advance. Just then, a man in casual clothes, followed by two assistants, walked in. His hair was slightly gray, he was about 50 years old, 1.7 meters tall, and he was holding two very well-preserved octagonal nut-shaped objects in his hands. Mr. Shin, Mr. Han is here. Shin Tao was looking down to confirm with the two receptionists whether there was a reservation for the 9th floor banquet hall on the 17th, when one of the receptionists looked up and saw Han Shangru entering from the main entrance. Ha! President Han is here? Where? Hearing the receptionist say that President Han was here, Shin Tao quickly looked up and turned around. Sure enough, not far from the lobby door, he saw Han Shangru walking towards him. Continuing to ask the two receptionists to check the reservation information, Shin Tao quickly walked up to Han Shangru. President Han. What brings you here today? Nothing much, just dropping by. Is the hotel running normally? I've been away for a while, and I heard from Zhao that you've been busy at the hotel. Han Shangru gave a faint smile as he held two hand-carved walnuts in his hands, and looked at Shin Tao with calm eyes. As a subordinate, he naturally understood that the boss was being deliberately polite, and he definitely couldn't follow suit and talk about his own hardships. President Han, you're too kind. I'm part of the hotel. You think so highly of me, and I'm doing my best for you in the hotel. What's hard about that? You're so easy to please, kid. He laughed, patted Shin Tao on the shoulder, and continued, I'm not here for anything particularly important this time. There's a business exchange meeting in a while, so you need to clear out the number 1 banquet hall for me. Banquet hall 1? President Han, I don't know when this business exchange meeting will be. When Han Shangru mentioned banquet hall 1, Shin Tao's heart suddenly skipped a beat, his expression dull, and he thought to himself, it's not supposed to be such a coincidence, is it? The time is the 16th to the 18th. Some hotel rooms should also be reserved. For this business exchange meeting, all the business tycoons from all over the country will be here, so we must not be sloppy. While Han Shangru was talking, Shin Tao's face looked as ugly as if he had eaten a fly. He had just agreed to let them use the number 1 banquet hall for their engagement, but now that the other two smaller banquet halls had not been confirmed, the number 1 banquet hall was also no longer guaranteed. What's wrong? From the look on your face, what's the problem? Han Shangru was someone who could tell from Shin Tao's expression that he was in trouble. Facing President Han, Shin Tao didn't want to hide anything either. He took a deep breath and immediately explained, President Han, the number 1 banquet hall has just been booked for someone's engagement banquet. The client asked me to come down and ask if the entire 9th floor could be booked. Their engagement banquet is on the 17th, which happens to coincide with the date of the business exchange meeting. You're saying that you've just agreed to something, and now you want him to go back on his word. Not to mention face, there's no way Bai Yufeng can explain this to him. Has the deposit been paid? Not yet. If the deposit hasn't been paid, it's not a booking. You go and explain that to the guest. No, President Han, this guest is not just any guest. He was brought here by President Bai of the Kyushu Group. Shin Tao's face showed bitterness. If it had been an ordinary guest, he could have gone and explained it to them, but the other party was Bai Yufeng, the executive vice president of Kyushu Group overseas. Although she has been suspended from her post, everyone knows that she has a close relationship with the chairman of the Kyushu Group, and it is only a matter of time before she is reinstated. Who are you talking about? Bai Yufeng. His tone was a little surprised. Han Shangru let go of Wanwan's hand and let it drop gently. He thought about it and realized that this was quite a difficult situation. He wanted to hold the business exchange meeting, but he didn't want to offend Bai Yufeng. It was just an engagement banquet, why did they need such a big banquet hall? Have you taken her to look at the other banquet halls? Banquet hall 1 can hold up to 1,000 people, who can invite 1,000 guests to their engagement banquet. It looks small even to me. Even the number 1 banquet hall is a bit lacking, so they specifically asked me to come down and inquire if the other 2 banquet halls on the 9th floor could be booked together. Xin Tao spoke while his head was slightly bowed, and his peripheral vision inadvertently glanced at Han Shangru in front of him. The other party stood silently in the same place, seemingly also torn about what to do about this matter. President Shen, you just said that Bai Yufeng brought someone here to book the engagement banquet hall. Who did she bring, relatives? I don't know, President Bai didn't say, but I asked. The woman's surname is Song, and she is holding an engagement banquet for his son. That Ms. Song doesn't look like an ordinary person either. Judging from Song Huilan's demeanor, she definitely can't be an ordinary person. He has worked at the Cloud Hotel for so long, he has some discernment. Wait, what did you say? Surname Song. Han Shangru's face changed drastically when Shen Tao said the surname Song. There was only one woman he knew who could make Bai Yufeng follow her around and also have the surname Song. Chapter 131, Poverty is no one's concern in the city, while wealth has distant relatives in the mountains. Mr. Han, what's wrong? He simply said the surname Song, so it shouldn't have shocked Han Shangru like this. Ha! Cut the crap, take me to the 9th floor first, let's go take a look together. You two, wait here. Before setting off, he told the two assistants behind him to wait at the front desk, and he took Shen Tao straight to the 9th floor by himself. Following Han Shangru silently, Shen Tao waited until they got into the elevator. He still couldn't figure out what was wrong with his boss, who had suddenly become so nervous. President Han, do you know this Ms. Song? Shen Tao asked cautiously as he stood silently behind Han Shangru in the elevator. Mr. Shen, you're confused. You know that Bai Yufeng is the vice president of Kyushu Group, but do you know who the chairman of Kyushu Group is? Back then, the Song family controlled Kyushu Group, and after the elders passed away, they handed over Kyushu Group to their only daughter to manage. The chairman of Kyushu Group is surnamed Song. As Han Shangru explained, the elevator arrived on the 9th floor. Shen Tao, who was following behind, heard this and his heart was thrown into a state of turmoil. Good guy, no wonder he always felt that Song Huilan's status was extraordinary. He never imagined that the other party was actually the chairman of the Kyushu Group. In the entire imperial capital, the Kyushu Group is a leading presence, so it's no wonder that Han Shangru would be so nervous. Gu Feng and the others were sitting in banquet hall number 1, with Su Liuli standing behind her grandmother, her temperament like orchid, quiet and elegant, her slender hands kneading her shoulders. Girl, it's okay, Grandma's not tired at all. You sit down and rest for a while. My hands are sore from pinching for so long. The granddaughter insisted on giving her shoulders a massage, and the grandmother, with an amiable smile on her face, raised her wrinkled hands and pulled Su Luli over to her. Listen to your grandmother and sit down. The grandmother insisted that she sit down, and Su Luli obediently nodded. Mom, Grandma, can our family really entertain 1,000 guests for the engagement banquet? Are there really that many people? Gu Feng leaned against Su Liuri not far away, his expression strange. Silly boy, haven't you heard the saying? Poor people in the city have no one to ask, while the rich have distant relatives in the mountains. Bai Yufeng walked up and lightly patted Gu Feng on the head, then continued laughing, putting the Gu family aside. Just the Kyushu Group alone has countless people who need to be invited to the banquet. Most of them are the kind who will show up uninvited, know what I mean? After Aunt Bai explained, not only did Gu Feng understand, but Su Liuli gradually understood as well. While they were talking, not far from the front door of the banquet hall, two figures suddenly appeared. Director Song. President Bai. Oh, I'm so sorry, I really didn't know you two were coming. Seeing Song Huilan and Bai Yufeng, Han Shangru hurriedly quickened his pace and rushed to the two of them. He was so fast that even Shen Tao behind him didn't have time to keep up. President Han? Bai Yufeng was momentarily taken aback, and noticed that Song Huilan looked confused. She immediately stepped forward and explained, Huilan, let me introduce you. This is Mr. Han from the Cloud Hotel. The Cloud Group mainly operates hotel chains, you should have heard of it. This Cloud Hotel is under the charge of Mr. Han. Bai Yufeng whispered in Song Huilan's ear. She knew that the Cloud Group was not a major group in the capital, but it had its own place in the hotel industry, and their chairman's surname was Han. So it turned out to be Mr. Han. I have heard a lot about you. Without taking the initiative to shake hands, Song Huilan simply nodded to Han Shangru. If someone else had done this, Han Shangru would definitely have been very angry. This was a clear sign of disrespect. However, when it came to Song Huilan, he felt that it was perfectly normal. Not to mention himself, even if the chairman of the Cloud Group, his own father, came personally, they would not necessarily be qualified to shake hands with others. Song Dong, I don't know if it's because your son is getting engaged, but I feel that I have been rude. I will reserve the entire ninth floor for you. When is your son's engagement? After speaking to Song Huiran, Han Shangru turned to Shen Tao, who was not far away. The 17th. The 17th. Song Dong, it is our honor that your son chose to hold his engagement banquet here. Don't worry, I'll give the order right away. From now on, the entire ninth floor will no longer receive anyone else, and we will do our best to prepare for the engagement banquet on the 17th. When Han Shangru said this, Shen Tao behind him was suddenly stunned. You have to know that the number 1 ballroom at the Cloud Hotel is a benchmark existence. From now on, no guests will be received, so won't all this time be wasted? Shocked, he didn't dare to speak up to remind him. Since Han Shangru had said it, as a subordinate, he could only do as he was told. President Han, it's still early, you don't need to get ready so early. Since all 3 banquet halls on the 9th floor are available, according to the rules, we will pay the deposit first. No. President Song, there's no need to pay the deposit. Shen Tao, you will personally handle the follow-up matters, and everything will be done according to President Song's wishes, understood? Yes, President Han, don't worry, I will definitely make President Song and President Bai happy. In that case, thank you very much, President Han. We'll contact Mr. Shen later to discuss the arrangements. We won't bother you today. Huilan, madam, let's go. The engagement hotel has already been chosen, so there's no need to waste time here. They still need to go shopping for other things. Mr. Song, madam, and President Bai, I'll see you out. They obediently stepped aside and saw Gu Feng and the others completely leave the Cloud Hotel. After they had completely left, Han Shangru and Shen Tao turned around and went back. Han, from now on, the 9th floor banquet hall will not receive guests, and the hotel may lose a lot. The main characters have left, and Shen Tao followed Han Shangru's side and whispered a reminder. Mr. Shen, you are still too young. You only know that it is the engagement of the son of Song Dong of the Kyushu group, but do you know who Song Dong's in-laws are? The Gu family, the existence at the top of the pyramid in the entire imperial capital. They are holding their engagement banquet with us, and the guests invited are all big shots with a reputation across the country. For our Cloud group, this is a great opportunity, you know. Kyushu group. Gu family. President Han, you are truly brilliant. Shen Tao couldn't help but gasp. The Kyushu group was already a presence like heaven to him, not to mention the even more terrifying Gu family. According to Han Shangru, they won't lose out even if they handle the engagement banquet for free. Chapter 132, Buy Your Own Clothes. After leaving the Cloud Hotel, they took care of Grandma Bai and Su Luli and got into the car. Mom, Aunt Bai, where are we going next? The hotel for the engagement has already been booked, and the rest of the arrangements will be relatively easy. Let's go shopping first. What do we need to buy? Of course, things we need for the engagement. On second thought, there's quite a lot that needs to be done. We need to buy new clothes, engagement invitations, and not just for us, but also something festive for your grandmother. Sitting opposite Gu Feng, Bai Yufeng explained to him, counting on her fingers. After all that talking, they wouldn't have enough time for the whole day. Grandma, let's go and pick out some clothes for you first. What kind of clothes do you like? On the bus ride to the city center, Su Luli sat obediently next to her grandmother, her slender arm gently wrapped around her grandmother's arm, with a sweet smile. She was already incredibly happy, and hearing her granddaughter say this made the old woman's expression even happier. Grandma doesn't have a preference, she likes any kind of clothes. Later, you can pick out a few things for Grandma. Your eyes as a precious granddaughter can't be wrong. Su Luli felt a burst of warmth from her grandmother's smile, and since she had already said so much, she, as the younger generation, had no choice but to obediently agree. Song Huilan and Bai Yufeng, who were sitting next to her, had smiles on their lips. They glanced at each other and then both smiled without saying a word. The car drove steadily. After an unknown period of time, Gu Feng looked out the window and saw that the car had already arrived in the center of the imperial capital. As the political and cultural center, the imperial capital was even more prosperous than the demon capital. Outside the car, there were tall buildings lining the roads, and the streets were full of cars and people. Madam, we're here. The car came to a stop. The driver, who was sitting in the driver's seat, got out of the car and helped open the door. Upon hearing this, Song Huilan asked Gu Feng to help her grandmother and Su Luli get out first, while she and Bai Yufeng got out right behind them. Luli, what do you think of this place? How does it compare to the demon capital? The old lady asked with a smile, as she looked around while being supported by her granddaughter-in-law's arm. Grandma, I think this place is even more prosperous than the demon capital. Yes, the imperial capital is indeed prosperous. Do you like it here? If you like it, Grandma will find you a place to live here, and you can stay in the capital after you graduate from university. Let your mother take you to the company to get some work experience. Grandma spoke with a smile, seemingly having a normal chat, but in fact there was a deeper meaning in her words. She had previously discussed this with Song Huilan. The Gu family was a large and influential one, and coupled with Gu Feng's personality, it was unlikely that he would take over the Kyushu group. Even if he was forced to take over, in reality, he simply wouldn't have the time to do so. After much thought, they decided to put the responsibility of taking over the Kyushu group on Su Luli. As the Gu family's daughter-in-law, she is the perfect person to take over the Kyushu group. Luli, your grandmother is right, you should come to the imperial capital in the future. You are pregnant now, so it is inconvenient for you to work, but after the baby is born, I will take you to the company to have a look. With her as a mother-in-law backing her up, it was only a matter of time before Su Luli took full control of the Kyushu group. Grandma and Mom were arguing back and forth, but in Gu Feng's heart, he felt the same way as Ming Jing. He had made it clear before that he didn't want to take over the Kyushu group. Judging from the way his mom and grandma were talking, it was obvious that they had set their sights on Su Lili. Okay, old lady, Huilan, there's no rush to go to the company. After we finish shopping in the afternoon, let Xiaofeng take Lily to the company for a tour. Let's go shopping first. Okay, let's go shopping first. In front of them was a large commercial building. Bai Yufeng and Song Huilan walked together, while Gu Feng followed Su Lili. Entering the mall, the first floor was full of women's clothing stores, except for the gold and silver jewelry stores. As they passed by the entrance, they looked inside without noticing, and saw that all the clothes on display were the latest styles of the year. Huilan, wait a minute, take Lily and have a look inside. There were so many women's clothing stores, and Grandma stopped at one and beckoned to Song Huilan to go inside. Upon hearing this, Su Lioli's porcelain doll-like face tensed slightly. Grandma, I have a lot of clothes, so you mustn't buy me any more clothes. With her delicate nose and pretty face, Su Lioli, who was wearing white ankle boots, didn't dare to follow her grandmother. There were simply too many clothes in the house. It was no exaggeration to say that if she bought some more, she could open a clothing store. Silly girl, the clothes you bought before were all summer dresses. What season is it now? Who wears a skirt in autumn? Grandma will pick out some clothes for you to wear in autumn. With a look of comfort and care in her eyes, Grandma could not help but pull Su Luli straight into the women's clothing store. Behind them, Bai Yufeng silently came up to Song Huilan. Huilan, the old lady didn't exaggerate like this back then. TSK, they say that there is a closeness between generations, and it really is the case. Bai Yufeng muttered, thinking back to the past. As Song Huilan's best friend, she had personally witnessed the enthusiasm that Grandma Gu Feng had for her daughter-in-law. At the time, I thought it was already beyond the limit, but now it seems that the old lady was still a bit conservative back then. Song Huilan had a smile on the corner of her mouth, and she looked sideways at Bai Yufeng. What do you think, are you envious? I'm not envious. Hurry up and pick out some clothes for Lioli. With a light snort, Bai Yufeng took Song Huilan's hand and quickly entered the store. So many guests had come all at once, and the young salesgirls inside warmly welcomed them. When the grandmother came in, she first asked Su Lioli what kind of clothes she wanted. After seeing that her granddaughter was embarrassed to choose, the old lady simply turned on the local tyrant mode. She chose 3 or 5 outfits in one go, with no skill, simply and rudely, just the most expensive clothes. Song Huilan originally wanted to help choose as well, but unfortunately, with her mother-in-law there, she simply couldn't get a word in. In this way, in less than 20 minutes, 5 autumn outfits were chosen. With each purchase, Gu Feng would get an extra bag. Seeing that her grandmother was still going to keep on shopping, Su Luli didn't say anything, but Gu Feng couldn't hold back any longer. Grandma, these clothes are enough for Luli to wear for a while, so why don't we go somewhere else first? We still have to pick out clothes for Grandma and for Dad and Mom later, and this tool of his is really going to get exhausted. Mom, Xiaofeng is right, let's go somewhere else. Okay. Luli, let's go out and have a look. After leaving the clothing store and wandering around the first floor, the group headed to the second floor of the commercial building. With the help of Song Huilan and Su Luli, they picked out some festive clothes for Grandma and also bought some for her father Gu Jinghua. After all the shopping, Gu Feng had more than 10 bags in his hands. Grandma, are you going to buy me clothes next? A pile of bags of all sizes was placed at his feet, and Gu Feng's eyes were filled with grievances. There are more than 10 bags, but none of them contain any clothes that are mine. You buy your own clothes. There are too many things. Shall we stop here for today? Okay, Mom, Liuli, let's go back. Grandma spoke, and Song Huilan immediately nodded in agreement. Including Bai Yufeng, the four of them glanced at Gu Feng, who was standing stupidly in place, and walked out of the mall without even looking back. No way. You're not buying me clothes? Her face was black and blue, and she looked down at the various clothing bags at her feet. She called herself over just to carry things? Chapter 133 Kyushu Group. Phew. Dear mother, dear grandmother, you all wait for me. With a bitter face, she picked up everything on the ground and quickly chased after the door. The things have been bought, and 3 boxes of invitations have been ordered and will be delivered to the Gu Manor before tonight. Yufeng, you take Mom back first, I'll take Xiaofeng and Liuli to the company to have a look. Xiaodia just called me, there's a document that needs to be dealt with for the Middle East project. I was going to let Gu Feng take his daughter-in-law to the company to have a look, but coincidentally, I got a call from Xiaoya half an hour ago. There's a problem with the documents for an important project of the group. She, as the chairman, needs to deal with it urgently. Okay, I'll take care of the old lady, you take the 2 children. Afterwards, Bai Yufeng took a step forward, leaned in close to Song Huilan's ear and smiled slightly. Can I have dinner with you tonight? Dinner? Come on, it's not like you're a bad eater. Go back and tell Wang Ma to cook some nutritious meals tonight to help Liuli build up her strength. Nourish her body? Actually, I feel that Liuli is very healthy, and she is not feeling unwell while pregnant, so there is no need to nourish her. Just eat normally. As Bai Yufeng said this, Su Liuli's face lit up, and she nodded in agreement at the first opportunity. Mom, Aunt Bai is right, I don't lack anything. If I continue to supplement my nutrition, I will really gain weight. She raised her hand and gently placed it on her own belly. She wondered if it was because of the pregnancy, but for some time now, she had felt her weight rapidly increasing. If she really follows her grandmother and mother-in-law's advice and supplements her nutrition, she doesn't know how fat she will become after giving birth. You are truly a sensible person, Aunt Bai. Gu Feng laughed, and carrying her things, she went to the car and put the large and small piles of things into the trunk. Okay, then let Wang Ma cook the food lightly. Liuli, is there anything in particular you want to eat? Mom, I'm not picky, I can eat anything. You're such a child. Daughter-in-law had said that Song Huilan had no choice but to ask Bai Yufeng to go back and tell Wang Ma to watch what she cooked. In this way, Grandma and Bai Yufeng took the car and returned to the Gu residence. Song Huilan took out her phone and called her assistant, Wang Xiaoye. In no time, Wang Xiaoye arrived at the mansion with the driver. Luli, get in the car with your mother. Well. The daughter-in-law obediently got into the car with her mother-in-law. After both the mother and daughter-in-law had gotten in, Gu Feng followed closely behind. Wang Xiaoye sat in the passenger seat, turned her head to see that everyone was seated, and promptly instructed the driver to drive. Xiaoya, what's going on over there in the Middle East? Why can't the contract, which had already been drafted, suddenly not be implemented? The first thing to do when you get to the company is to go to the meeting. While you have time on the way, you need to get a brief overview. Chairman, as far as I know, it's because the situation over there is relatively chaotic, and several companies that are cooperating with the group have to be temporarily closed. President Liu and President Jiang already flew back to China yesterday, and at this time, they should have already arrived at the company. Chairman, President Liu and President Jiang. Wang Xiaoye spoke cautiously, and halfway through her sentence, she suddenly paused, her words full of concern. Just say what you have to say. I learned some gossip from the department in charge of overseas business. It seems that President Liu and President Jiang want to renegotiate the group's overseas project layout with you when they return this time. After Wang Xiaoye's voice fell, Song Huilan frowned slightly, and Gu Feng and Su Luli, sitting next to their mother, clearly felt a chill. The layout of overseas projects began before I took office. How can they change the plan after such a long period of planning? Her tone was cold, and Gu Feng was slightly startled. From what he knew about his mother, this was obviously a sign of imminent anger. Gu Feng could feel it, and so naturally did Wang Xiaoye, who had been by Song Huilan's side for more than 10 years. Chairman, please don't be angry, perhaps things are not that serious. In the past, the overseas projects were all handled by President Bai alone. President Liu and President Jiang's actions may just be consolidating their management overseas. I hope so. Snorting in contempt, Song Huilan suppressed the anger in her heart and turned her gaze to the window. She had thought that suspending by Yufeng would give these people face and make them behave themselves a little, but she never expected that they would dare to push even further. She stared out the window for a long time, until the car came to a stop, and Song Huilan said nothing. Gu Feng and Su Liuli looked at each other and then chose to remain silent. The matter of the Kyushu group still had to be resolved by their mother herself. The two of them could not help much even if they spoke. Chairman, we've arrived. Su Liuli, let me help you down. The car door opened, and Wang Xiaoye reached out to help Su Liuli get off first, followed by Gu Feng and Song Huilan. Standing in place, she looked up not far away. Su Liuli stretched her neck and looked at the tall buildings in the distance, her eyes full of an unmistakable shock. In front of her, 3 separate skyscrapers stood in their original positions, and in front of them was a square with a flagpole in the middle, on which 3 flags were flying. In front of the flagpole was a super large marble sculpture with several large characters clearly carved on it, Kyushu Group. In addition to the large characters in front, the characters Kyushu Group were also marked on the tops of several skyscrapers. She had seen some companies before, but none of the big companies she had in mind could compare to the Kyushu Group in front of her. Girl, go in with me. Walking up to Su Liuli, Song Huilan patted Su Liuli's head lightly, her eyes full of affection. By the way, Xiaoye, if someone asks later what relationship Liuli has with me, just say that you are the new intern recruited by the president's office. Song Huilan spoke and instructed, and Wang Xiaoye hurriedly nodded in agreement. Yes, Chairman. The reason for saying this is mainly for Su Liuli to come to the Kyushu Group for experience in the later stage. Under the leadership of Wang Xiaoye, everyone entered the group. The lobby of the group was full of people, all of whom looked very busy. When they saw Wang Xiaoye and Song Huilan enter, everyone they met greeted them without being prompted. Hello, Chairman. Hello, Chairman. Chairman. In the midst of the greetings, they finally made their way through the lobby and took the elevator directly to the 39th floor. Wang Xiaoye brought Gu Feng and the others to the chairman's office, and did not forget to prepare warm water for the group. Chairman, I will go and tell everyone to prepare for the meeting. Okay, go. With Song Huilan's approval, Wang Xiaoye turned and left. Chapter 134, Punish 1 to warn 100, to deter others from similar behavior. In the office, only Song Huilang, Gu Feng, and Su Liuli were left. Mom, you suspended Aunt Bai just to appease Jiang Chong and Lu Zhan? Sitting in front of the sofa, Gu Feng looked up at his mother indifferently, thinking back to before he was reborn, when he took over the Kyushu Group. The company executives of the Jiang Chong and Lu Zhan ilk were all demoted and retained in their positions. Not to mention shouting in front of him, they didn't even dare to breathe. At that time, behind him, in addition to his own mother, there was also the support of the Gu family. In less than a month, he demoted and transferred more than a dozen company executives. With these iron-fisted measures, the entire Kyushu Group was quickly brought under his complete control. Not entirely. The main reason was the overseas projects themselves. As the saying goes, the emperor is far away, and although Aunt Bai has the ability, she cannot do everything herself. I've heard that there are some loopholes in those overseas projects, and those senior executives in the group have reaped a lot of benefits from them. I've been turning a blind eye to this, but they've gone too far. This time, they're saying that there will be adjustments, but in reality, they're just paving the way for them to reap even more benefits. Song Huilan finished calmly, and her eyes suddenly looked at Su Liuli, who was by Gu Feng's side. Liuli, if you were in my position, what would you do? Ha? Mom, you mean me? With her petite and delicate face, Su Liuli was a little surprised, not expecting her mother-in-law to ask for her opinion. After thinking for a moment, she said, Mom, I think punishment is appropriate. If we don't pursue it, it will encourage the arrogance of those who have made mistakes. Su Liuli spoke softly, and Song Huilan simply smiled when she heard this. Liuli, let me draw an analogy for you. The current Kyushu Group is like a big tree, and those in the upper echelons of the group are like the sturdy branches of this tree. For the tree to flourish, it must rely on these sturdy branches. These branches also have their own ulterior motives. They want to make the leaves on their branches more dense, so they can only absorb the nutrients of the tree itself without restraint. The situation is more complicated now. These branches absorb the nutrients of the tree to grow leaves, not to make the tree more lush and leafy, but to feed the insects on the leaves of the tree. As the tree itself, it cannot cut off the entire branch just because there are a few insects on the leaves, but if the entire branch is already occupied by insects, then we can only cut off the branch to survive. Song Huilan compared the Kyushu Group to a big tree, and with Su Luli's cleverness, she almost instantly understood what her mother-in-law meant. Mom, what you mean is that what needs to be mastered is a balance, a degree. Before dealing with this matter, we need to see if the insects on the leaves already pose a threat. Ah, Luli, you are really smart and understand everything at once. A company as big as Kyushu Group has senior management behind them who are affiliated with their own companies. Those companies are the bugs on the leaves. We just need to catch the bugs and cut the branches. We will know when we have the meeting later. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law had a happy chat, with the mother-in-law lecturing the daughter-in-law, while Gu Feng sat on the sofa happily watching. His personality is completely different from his mother's. If he were to handle this matter, he would definitely cut down all the branches with bugs, to set an example for others. Perhaps this will cause some damage to the tree, but as long as the main structure is not damaged, new branches will grow back. 10 minutes later, Wang Xiaoye returned to the office with her 2 secretaries. Chairman, the meeting room is ready, and President Liu and President Jiang are here. In addition to the 2 of them, there are also directors Fang, Zhu, Zhang, and Miao. Just as she was about to get up and head to the meeting room, Song Huilan stopped when she heard Wang Xiaoye's words. Directors Fang, Zhu, Zhang, and Miao. It's not a shareholders' meeting, what are they doing here? The people Wang Xiaoye mentioned were all shareholders of the Kyushu Group. Although they held some shares in the Kyushu Group, they did not have any positions of power within the group. Generally speaking, these shareholders only come to the annual shareholders meeting. From what Fang Dong and the others said, they came with President Liu and President Jiang. Chairman, President Jiang and President Liu took out the previous audit report of President Bai overseas. President Bai sighed. Under normal circumstances, Bai Yufeng should be notified to come to the company meeting together, but since the chairman didn't say anything, she didn't dare to notify her rashly. Phew. Liuli, it seems you were right. Not holding these people accountable will only encourage their arrogance. Mom really is going to chop down the tree branches today. No need to notify President Bai, let's go to the meeting room. With anger in her eyes, Song Huilan finished speaking, ignoring Wang Xiaoye and the 2 secretaries, and strode off in the direction of the meeting room. Mom, are you angry? Is everything going to be okay? Seeing that her mother-in-law was a little angry, Su Liuli stood next to Gu Feng and asked in a low voice. In response, Gu Feng was neither anxious nor panicked. Taking advantage of the fact that no one was paying attention, he raised his hand and pinched Su Luli's face full of vitality. Don't worry, if my mother is angry, we shouldn't be the ones to worry about it, but those so-and-so directors in the meeting room. You pinched me. And covered your face, looking at Gu Feng with eyes full of grievances. Seeing Su Luli being so cute, Gu Feng couldn't help but laugh lightly. She had a sweet appearance, and it was no exaggeration to say that every expression of Su Luli's could tug at his heartstrings. Let's go watch a great show. He took Su Liuli's hand and waited until they arrived outside the conference room before letting go of her hand. Entering the conference room, they found the space inside to be super large, with a long conference table in the middle and multimedia equipment on both the front and back sides. Xiaofeng, Liuli, you come sit over here. Gu Feng and Su Liuli did not attract much attention when they entered. In addition to the company executives who needed to attend the meeting, there were also the secretaries and assistants of various leaders in the conference room. There were a dozen people actually attending the meeting, and there were almost 30 to 40 people in the large conference room. President Liu, President Jiang, it's been a long time. I heard from Xiaoye that you just returned from the Middle East yesterday, and you had a long and tiring journey. If there's nothing important, you should rest at home. A smile was on his face, but anyone could hear that the chairman was implying something. Chairman, thanks to your trust, the 2 of us should be willing to work hard no matter what. For this overseas project, except for the Middle East, we. Wait a minute. Song Huilan raised her hand to indicate that Jiang Chong should stop talking. With a few people looking at her in surprise, Song Huilan looked up to the left. I was in a hurry when I came in and didn't notice. President Feng, President Zhu, President Zhang, and President Miao, you are here too. This is an internal meeting of the group, not a shareholders' meeting. Are you a few too old and confused? Chapter 135, Sleepy from Sleep, Trying to be the Chairman? On the surface, it seems to be saying that a few people are old, but in reality, it is meant to be an ironic comment on a few old fools. Just this sentence nearly made Gu Feng and Su Liuli laugh. Wang Xiaoye, who was standing next to Song Huilan, and the 2 secretaries also had an expression of unable to hold back their laughter. The chairman is joking. Although we old folks are a bit older, we are not so senile as that. To be honest, it was President Liu and President Jiang who invited us. We heard that there are major problems with overseas business. As shareholders of Kyushu Group, we have a stake in everyone's interests, so there is nothing wrong with asking questions, right? President Fong replied silently, turning to look at the other three people around him. Feeling President Fong's gaze, President Zhu was the first to react, immediately following suit and saying in agreement, "President Fong is right, please forgive us for coming to the meeting without saying hello." The words were very polite, but the meaning behind them was intriguing. Director Fong and Director Zhu spoke one after the other, while Jiang Chong and Lu Zhan appeared to be calm, but in reality they were very excited. The two of them were themselves vice presidents of the Kyushu Group, and with the four shareholders, including Director Fong and Director Zhu, even the chairman of the board had to think twice. Director Fong was right, there was nothing to forgive. Chairman Fong, you just said that the Kyushu Group's overseas business has encountered major problems? General Manager Jiang and General Manager Liu, you two have only just been in charge of the overseas business for a short time, and it is normal that you are not proficient in management. As long as it is not a major problem, the group will not hold you responsible. Song Huilan pretended to be ignorant, but when Gu Feng heard this, his eyes lit up. They say that experience counts, and it seems that this is really true. After her mother had stirred things up, Jiang Chong and Lu Zhan's faces were a picture of confusion. Lu Zhan, in particular, was impatient by nature. After hearing the misunderstanding, he hurriedly stood up and said, "Chairman, you've misunderstood." What? I misunderstood? Sitting in the main seat, Song Huilan turned her head and glanced at the several shareholders on either side. President Liu, what's the big deal? Can you just tell me once and for all? Phew. Chairman, this is the audit report we compiled on all of our overseas operations. Please take a look. Starting from the second year after President Bai took over the overseas operations, people began to line their pockets one after the other. 1/3 of all leaders at the middle management level and above were corrupt. The prepared report was placed in front of Song Huilan. The report detailed how Bai Yufeng had embezzled funds and undercharged during her time overseas, taking advantage of her position. The amounts involved ranged from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of yuan. In front of the others, Song Huilan finished reading the content of the investigation report carefully, and her already cold expression became even colder. To be honest, she simply didn't believe that one of the middle or senior management of the Kyushu Group overseas would use their position to make tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. The salary of a middle-level leader was around 5 million yuan a year, and the salary of a senior leader was even tens of millions of yuan a year. There was absolutely no need to take risks for such trivial gains. However, although she knew this in her heart, she still had to do enough on the surface. It is said that the Kyushu Group attracts a lot of attention, but I never imagined it would also attract so many parasites. She slammed the documents down on the table, and Song Huilan's face turned pale. Seeing the chairman angry, Jiang Chong and Lu Zhan felt secretly pleased inside, and they thought of ways to get rid of Bai Yufeng's old subordinates overseas, so that they could truly gain control of the overseas business. President Liu, President Jiang. You were able to uncover such large-scale corruption so soon after taking office, so you are truly outstanding. Don't worry, a special investigation team will be set up immediately at headquarters to conduct a focused investigation of all overseas middle and senior management. Anyone found to have abused their power for personal gain will be dealt with severely. She didn't believe it, and besides the people on the list, she didn't think anyone else was clean. After managing the group for so many years, she knew full well that those who didn't appear on the list were most likely fence-sitters who had already switched sides to Lu Zhan and Jiang Chong. Sure enough, after Song Huilan said this, General Manager Zhang's face changed slightly, and Lu Zhan became even more anxious. Chairman, the amount of money pocketed is not large, and in my opinion, there is no need for the company to prepare a special investigation team. Lu Zhan's words caused Jiang Chong next to him to pause, and the four directors, Fong, Zhu, Zhang, and Miao, looked at each other. Chairman Liu, what are you talking about? The establishment of an investigation team by the headquarters is a show of consideration by the chairman, so why are you being pretentious? Chairman, don't worry, as the person in charge of overseas business, we will fully cooperate with the investigation team. Jiang Chang's tone was indifferent and his words were very calm. At this time, openly refusing the headquarters establishment of an investigation team would obviously mean that there is still something fishy about overseas business. Okay, since both President Jiang and President Liu have no objections, let's do it this way for now. Let's talk about the Middle East next. I heard that due to regional issues, several major companies there are going to relocate en masse. Yes, relocation is one thing, but the main reason is that they want us to increase the cooperation fee. Increase the cooperation fee? Ask for money? If I remember correctly, the current contract has been in place for a long time, and the cooperation fee has been set at the highest standard. What do they want? Song Huilan could not hide her anger. The two companies have been cooperating, and she is Party A after all, but she is being threatened by a few unknown small companies from Party B. Chairman, please don't be angry. This time, the companies in the Middle East plan to renegotiate the cooperation. President Liu and I have decided that we need to consult you on this matter of great importance. President Jiang, President Liu, what do you think we should do about this? Instead of answering immediately, she turned to Jiang Chong and Liu Zhan. There was definitely a reason why those companies in the Middle East had suddenly made such unreasonable demands. It was even possible that they had been influenced by the two people in front of her. Song Huiran was asking this question to test her own suspicions. There are not many companies in the Middle East that can cooperate, and for the sake of long-term development, I personally think that we should still consider it carefully. Chairman, what President Jiang said makes sense. If it were just one partner, it could be dealt with firmly, but now that several partners in the Middle East have joined forces, we should pay attention to it for the sake of the group's interests. Director Fong sat in front of his chair, taking advantage of the gap between Jiang Chong and Liu Zhan's conversation to speak on behalf of several shareholders. Invited by Jiang Chong and Liu Zhan, he knew exactly when to speak up. Song Huilan, as the chairman, must pay attention to him as a shareholder, even if she doesn't pay attention to the two vice presidents. Phew! Sitting next to Su Liuli, listening to Fong Dong's words, Gu Feng let out a breath of relief. He had not planned to stand out, but the old man's face was really disgusting, and he really couldn't accept it. In front of everyone, he slowly walked over to Song Huilan, lifted his hand and touched his head, looking disdainful. Fong Dong, you said you're an old man, so it's good to go fishing and play chess when you're not busy. As overseas business is one of the group's main businesses, the senior management will naturally discuss what to do. You're just a small shareholder without an actual position. What do you want to do? Sleeping confusedly, do you want to be the chairman? Chapter 136, Persuade with Emotion and Reason. 5 years ago, when he took over the Kyushu group from his mother, he didn't even bother to look at the 4 people in front of him. There were more than 10 shareholders in the group, but the 4 in front of him didn't even own 20% of the shares. Each of the 4 in front of him only owned less than 1% of the shares. Not to mention high-level decisions within the company, even for the annual shareholders meeting, it was up to him to decide whether to let a few people participate. Song Huilan was worried about whether she should break with the people in front of her, but she didn't expect Gu Feng to step in and stir things up in time. You. Who are you? A young kid, what kind of occasion is this, and you have a say? At an advanced age, he has never been so humiliated before. Director Fong stood up, puffing out his beard, glaring up and pointing at Gu Feng, his heart filled with rage. Director Fong, calm down, I forgot to introduce you, this is my child. He was already very angry, and when he heard Fong Dong's accusations, Song Huilang, who was extremely protective of her shortcoming, immediately stood up to speak for Gu Feng. Fong, no matter what, that's an elder, do you know how to behave when speaking to an elder? After complaining to Gu Feng, Song Huilang continued to turn her head and look at Fong Dong and the others. Fong Dong, Zhu Dong, Zhang Dong, and Miao Dong, Fong is young and speaks directly. We are old acquaintances. If you are really interested in the position of chairman, I will convene a shareholders meeting tomorrow and we can discuss it together. According to the company's articles of association, as long as you are a shareholder, you have the right to be the chairman. It so happens that I have been the chairman for a long time and would be more than happy to have someone to share the workload. What do you think? Her words were serious, but her gaze was cold, and it landed on the 4 of them, making them feel like they had a thorn in their backs. After Song Huilan said this, the 4 of them didn't know what to say for a while. They had come mainly to support Jiang Chong and Liu Zhan, but had never thought about competing for the position of chairman. Song Huilan alone owned more than 70% of the equity of the Kyushu group, and the shares they held were not even a fraction of that. Unless they were out of their minds, how dare they compete for the position of chairman? If the other shareholders knew, they would be laughed out of their mouths. Chairman, you're joking. None of us have that kind of ambition. Fong Dong, with one hand propped on the table, had not yet recovered from the news that Gu Feng was the chairman's son. Next to him, Miao Dong and Zhu Dong, among others, all got up at the same time, shaking their heads and waving their hands frantically. While explaining, they did not forget to smile, looking as awkward as they could be. Since none of you are interested in the position of chairman, I will handle the overseas business. General Jiang, General Liu. Chairman. Was a little distracted, and after hearing Song Huilan's greeting, the two men also stood up. What are you two so nervous about? Sit down. He raised his hand to indicate for the two men to sit down, and then continued, the situation in the Middle East is indeed very chaotic, but there are also many powerful companies. Our Kyushu group will never be blackmailed. Tell the partners in the Middle East that if they want it, the cooperation will be suspended. I will find new partners in a short time, and there is no need to worry about domestic energy supply. There is still a sufficient domestic stock. Song Huilan's words sent Lu Zhan and Zhang Chong into a panic. They looked away and their faces turned pale. Those parties in the Middle East had been emboldened to cause trouble by their signals, and now they had backfired and had shot themselves in the foot. At this time, Song Huilan must not be allowed to find new partners, otherwise not only would they be unable to explain to the Middle East, but they would also be likely to blow the whistle domestically. If that happens, there will be no place for the two of you in the Kyushu group. Chairman, please calm down. It was really not our fault that this happened just as we were getting a firm grasp on overseas business. Finding new partners will pose a certain risk to the group. Can you give us some time to approach these companies properly and try to calm this down as soon as possible? The voice became quieter and quieter, but the fine sweat on his forehead became more and more dense. Oh. Appealing to their emotions and reasoning with them is indeed a feasible approach. But then again, after you two learned about this matter, did you not take the initiative to contact these companies? Looking at the two of them with suspicious eyes, Song Huilan was at ease in her heart, while Zhang Chong and Lu Zhan, who were sitting on one side, were extremely nervous. For the two of them, this was a foregone conclusion. If they did not contact them in advance, it would be a dereliction of duty, and if they answered that they had already contacted them, there would be no need to contact them again. No matter what the answer was, there was no way to completely defuse the situation. With no other options, the two men slowly looked up, and could only pin their hopes on the few directors in the distance. If it weren't for what had just happened, a few of them might have stepped forward to help explain things, but after what had just happened, Fang Dong and the others were also trembling in the face of Song Huilan. They were in a difficult situation themselves, and where would they dare to step forward and explain for Lu Zhan and Zhang Chong? Mom, overseas business is complicated and heavy, these two don't have much experience, and in their haste, they may have forgotten. Since President Liu and President Jiang are willing to take the initiative to negotiate with the Middle East, you should give them a chance. Gu Feng stood next to his mother, a smile curling the corner of his mouth, looking calmly at Zhang Chong and Lu Zhan. After all the beating and prodding, Bai Yufeng's position had not yet been reinstated, and the overseas side still had to continue to rely on the two of them. With the stepping stone given by Gu Feng, Song Huilan naturally would not continue to be tense. In that case, I will trouble you two to make the trip. If there is no progress within 3 days, the group will immediately seek new partners. Thank you, Chairman, for your trust, and thank you, young master. Thank you, young master, and thank you, Chairman. We will not fail in our mission. They got up one after the other, without bothering to wipe the fine sweat on their foreheads, and hurriedly nodded and bowed repeatedly to Gu Feng and Song Huilan. That's all for today, Xiaoye will help me arrange the follow-up. President Liu, President Jiang, I have one last thing to say to you both. Overseas business is an energy business and is very important to the group. No matter what the reason, there can be no mistakes. You two should understand what I mean. He said lightly, turned around and left with Wang Xiaoye and the others. Everyone left the meeting room one after another, and Su Liuli walked over to Gu Feng with graceful steps. How was it? How did it feel? Turning her head, she looked at Su Liuli with a smile, and saw some tension in the other person's taut pretty face. Biting her lips lightly, Su Liuli silently looked up. They say that the business world is like a battlefield, and I can say that I experienced it today. In fact, it wasn't that serious. You'll understand in time. Looking at Su Liuli with adoring eyes, he lifted his hand to stroke the other person's head, and they walked side by side towards the chairman's office. Chapter 137, Is Grandma That Awesome? Zhang Chong and Lu Zhan slowly got up only after most of the people in the meeting room had left. President Zhang, President Liu, didn't you say that there was no way this could go wrong? Thanks to you, today we have all lost face. With pale faces, Fang Dongji and the others came angrily over. If they had known it would turn out like this, they would never have gotten involved, no matter how much the two of them had promised. They had stolen the chicken but lost the rice, failed to catch the fox and made a mess of things. It was a total disgrace. Knowing that they were in the wrong, Jiang and Chong could only smile bitterly and say, Director Fong, Director Zhu, Director Miao, Director Zhang, we are sorry for our inconsideration. But don't worry, as long as we are in charge of overseas business, we will definitely be the first to protect your interests. Please forgive us. They spoke sincerely, clasping their hands in a fist. Jiang Chong lowered his stance so much that the others didn't dare say anything. After all, they all had their own small private assets overseas, and they still had to rely on the two of them if they wanted to obtain greater benefits. This won't happen again. Let's go, everyone. With a cold snort, they didn't pursue the issue with the two of them, and the four of them turned and left. Standing behind Jiang Chong and Lu Zhan, the two assistants were inwardly apprehensive. At a time like this, they didn't dare to take the initiative to go and touch bad luck. Mr. Jiang, what do you call this? What are we doing? Aren't we shooting ourselves in the foot? He raised his hand and slammed it down on the long table, his face grim, his back teeth nearly crushed. Phew! President Liu, we still underestimated the chairman. From this incident, I can see that her mind is as clear as a mirror. President Bai's suspension may be far from simple. You and I had better be more restrained in our dealings in the future. Compared to Lu Zhan, Jiang Chang's scheming is obviously much more profound. Hearing Jiang Chong say this, Lu Zhan couldn't help but come back to his senses. He turned to look at the two assistants behind him, hesitated for a moment, and then said, Book tickets for us to fly to the Middle East tonight. Yes, President Liu. After the company's business came to an end, Gu Feng took Su Liuli back to Song Huilan's office. The two of them had just sat down when Wang Xiaoye arrived with 2 glasses of water. Xiaofeng, Liuli, drink some water. Thank you, Xiaoye. You're welcome. After smiling and responding to Su Liuli, Wang Xiaoye took the initiative to look at Song Huilan beside her. Chairman, I'll go take care of the rest. Go. Nodding in agreement, Wang Xiaoye left with the 2 secretaries. As someone who was about to become a grandmother, Song Huilan's face now no longer had the seriousness she had just had in the conference room. Liuli, how did you feel in the conference room just now? Were you not quite used to it? Back then, when Mom suddenly took over the Kyushu group from your grandfather, I was at a loss and had no idea how to manage it. Luckily, your grandmother was there to give me advice, otherwise I don't know how much money I would have lost over the years. Song Huilan said with a smile, taking Su Luli's hand. Hearing her mother-in-law's words, Su Luli's face showed surprise. She didn't expect her grandmother to be able to manage a company. Not only Su Luli, even Gu Feng heard about it for the first time. Mom, my grandma is advising you, are you serious? Gu Feng sounded surprised, and Song Huilan rolled her eyes at the sound of this. Brat, do you see your mom like I'm joking? No joke? How come I didn't know that my grandma is so awesome? She muttered, and ever since she could remember, her grandma had been at home all the time, only occasionally going out for a trip and stopping by various scenic spots to pray to the Buddha. If you want to talk about other things, he really hasn't understood. Of course, your grandmother is amazing. Before she retired, she was a professor of business administration and finance at the Imperial Capital University Graduate School. What do you think happened to your father? Your grandmother trained him. Apart from anything else, in the Imperial Capital alone, your grandmother's disciples are all over the Imperial Capital business community. Mom said unceremoniously, and Gu Feng's mouth opened slightly, shocked inside. I never would have thought that my grandmother was so capable. She hid her talents very well, and I never noticed it for so many years. It's getting late, let's go home. Liuli, let's go. Seeing that it wasn't very early, Song Huilan got up and prepared to leave. Gu Feng and Su Liuli followed behind her, and the 3 of them walked out of the Kyushu group together. They took a ride back to the Gu Manor. At home, under the arrangement of Bai Yufeng, Wang Ma and several aunts had been busy in the kitchen for a long time. It wasn't long before Song Huilan returned with Gu Feng and Su Luli. Upon seeing her grandson and granddaughter-in-law return, Grandma Gu Feng got up excitedly to greet them. Seeing her grandmother get up, Su Luli couldn't help but quicken her pace, almost running, to come before her grandmother. Grandma, what are you getting up for? Sit down quickly. Silly girl, why did you take so long? Are you hungry? Gu Feng, go to the kitchen and ask Wang Ma to bring some snacks. There's still a lot of the 100-flour cake left over from this morning, so while dinner isn't ready yet, bring some over to satisfy your hunger. He put down what he was doing and strode towards the kitchen. Not only was Su Lili hungry, he was a little hungry himself. He had followed his mother to the Kyushu group and hadn't expected it to take so long. He lifted the kitchen curtain and saw that in the large kitchen, Wang Ma and a few other maids were busy on the stove. Seeing Gu Feng enter, Wang Ma quickly put down the cleaver in her hands, without bothering to wipe the grease off her hands, and quickly came to Gu Feng. "What can I get you, young master?" "Wang Ma, I'm a bit hungry. Is there any of the 100 flowers cake left from this morning? I want to heat it up and eat it." Rubbing his stomach, he smelled the delicious food in the kitchen, and felt even hungrier. "Yes, there's still quite a bit left. I'll get it ready for you right away and bring it out when it's hot. You don't need to go to all that trouble. Just tell me where it is and I'll heat it up myself. You go ahead and get on with your work." Wang Ma was busy cleaning the old silky fowl, and she had to reheat the multicolored cake for him, so she had to wash her hands again, which was a lot of trouble. Hearing Gu Feng's words, Wang Ma didn't think much of it, and pointed to the faraway refrigerator with her finger. "The multicolored cake is all in there. It's wrapped in plastic wrap. Next to it is the microwave, so you can heat up as much as you need." "Great." Nodding to Wang Ma, Gu Feng walked straight to the refrigerator, took out more than 10 pieces of 100 flowers cake one after the other, warmed them in the microwave, and then walked out of the kitchen with a full plate of pastries. At this time, Su Luli was sitting next to her grandmother. The old and the young were chatting and laughing. Chapter 138: Pursuing a Postgraduate Degree. Without disturbing the two, Gu Feng went straight to Song Huilan and Bai Yufeng and sat down next to them. "Xiao Feng, come sit over here." His bottom hadn't even warmed up when, separated by Song Huilan, Bai Yufeng waved her hand at him to greet him. From the other person's excited appearance, it seemed that there was something particularly happy. "Air. Aunt Bai, is there something the matter?" Without immediately getting up, he asked in a low voice. "Yes, come over here and I'll tell you." "Okay." Reluctantly, he got up, walked around the coffee table in the middle and came to Bai Yufeng's side. As soon as he sat down, Bai Yufeng couldn't wait to start talking. "Xiao Feng, I heard that you angrily confronted those old things in the board of directors at Kyushu Group today. Is that true? Those old things have evil intentions. Last time we met, they even glared at me, so angry that I wanted to pluck their beards off right there." She spoke angrily, and didn't forget to make a gesture of plucking a beard. Before she was suspended, in addition to Jiang Chong and Lu Zhan, there were also several people in the board of directors who were always targeting her, including Fang Dong. Just now, she heard Song Huilan describe Gu Feng's anger at the meeting with the other directors, and she felt so much better. If it wasn't for the old lady sitting across from her, she would have applauded. "Fang Dong? A few old things? Auntie Bai, no wonder the other directors always find trouble with you, and you even called them a few old things." Gu Feng let out a bitter laugh, but Bai Yufeng rolled her eyes. "Calling them a few old things is an understatement. You don't know that, relying on the overseas layout of the Kyushu Group, they have managed to get some of their own private property and reap a lot of benefits every year. And that Jiang Chong and Lu Zhan are not good people either. They don't want to work hard during the week, and they just think about forming cliques. If they are put in charge of overseas business, I don't know how big a problem it will be." While mumbling, Bai Yufeng did not forget to turn her head and take a glance at Song Huilan, who was not far behind. Even though they were close together, Song Huilan could hear her clearly, even though she deliberately lowered her voice. But even though she heard it, she didn't say anything in reply. She knew Bai Yufeng's personality all too well. She was straightforward and honest, very capable but not very calculating. The situation was so complicated that suspending her from her position was for her own good. Now that she has been reinstated, she simply can't compete with Jiang Chong and Lu Zhan. "Su Liuli, you went to the Kyushu Group and took a look. What are your thoughts?" Grandma Su Luli's face was smiling as she took Su Luli's delicate hand and asked kindly. Su Luli had a fresh and natural face shape, with delicate features. She looked up at her grandmother, who was not far away. After hesitating for 2 seconds, she whispered, "Grandma, I feel so difficult." With bright eyes and white teeth, Su Luli's head bowed slightly, a little embarrassed. "Silly girl, what's so difficult about it? Your mother went through the same thing at this time in her life. It's not that difficult. Have you considered going back to graduate school, my child?" Graduate school? A slight tremor ran through Su Luli's heart. To be honest, she had indeed considered whether or not to pursue a postgraduate degree before. Her grandfather was getting older, and the sooner she started working to help him with some of the pressure, the better. After considering all the factors, she had not thought much more about pursuing a postgraduate degree. Now that her grandmother had brought it up again, however, she hesitated. Her grandmother's eyes were full of tenderness and kindness, like deep, calm lakes that could see into the hearts of others. With just one look, she could see the hesitation in her granddaughter's heart. "Luli, would you like to hear my opinion?" "Yes, Grandma, tell me." Su Luli stared at her beautiful profile and nodded obediently. "Grandma suggests that if possible, you should try to go for postgraduate studies. The postgraduate college at Daida University is very good, and studying business administration across multiple disciplines will be very helpful when you join a company in the future. What do you think?" The old lady always spoke in an interrogative tone. In her opinion, whether or not to continue studying for a postgraduate degree was the child's own choice, and as an elder, she could only give certain advice. "Grandma, it's still early, there's no need to let Lioli make such a decision so early." "In my opinion." "Grandma, I'll take your advice and I'll take the postgraduate entrance exam." Gu Feng spoke up, originally intending to help Su Lioli smooth things over, but he didn't expect that before he could finish speaking, Su Lioli had directly nodded in agreement. Gu Feng was unable to finish his sentence and could only smile awkwardly. Su Lioli had agreed so readily, so she must have wanted to continue her postgraduate studies. "Ha ha ha. Good. My girl, you prepare yourself during this time, and when the baby is born, Grandma will go and say hello to Daida University for you." After Grandma finished speaking, Su Lioli shook her head and refused. "Grandma, I can handle the postgraduate entrance exam on my own. I am confident that I will have no problem being accepted into Daida University for postgraduate studies." The words were gentle, but they contained 100% confidence. With her academic performance, it is really not a difficult task to get into a graduate school at God's capital university. "Old lady, Lioli is so smart, and getting into a graduate school is just a piece of cake. Lioli is not Xiaofeng, and you don't need to go to God's capital university to say hello." Bai Yufeng spoke with a light smile, and she was originally smiling happily. After hearing this, Gu Feng suddenly had a black line on his face. "You can all see for yourselves my achievements since childhood. Just take Fuxing University, for example. I got in there on my own merits." "Fine, you're capable. I don't know who it was, but when I was in elementary school, I was left behind by the teacher because I couldn't do my homework, and I had to ask my aunt to pick it up. In junior high school, I never failed a subject, and I went to so many parent-teacher conferences for you." As she went on and on, Gu Feng waved to interrupt her. "Junior high school parent-teacher conferences? Yufeng, what's this about a junior high school parents meeting? Xiaofeng has been in junior high school for 3 years, so how come I've never heard of the school holding a parents meeting?" Song Huilan was dumbfounded, and she could see that things were not going well. Gu Feng hurriedly got up. "Mom, you guys talk first, I'll go check in the kitchen to see how dinner's coming along." Giggle, giggle, giggle. "Huilan, look at you, you're scaring the child." Gu Feng fled in defeat, but Bai Yufeng laughed heartlessly. Sitting opposite the two of them, Su Luli and her grandmother exchanged glances and both smiled without saying a word. From Bai Yufeng's words just now, and coupled with Gu Feng's reaction, Su Luli had roughly guessed what had happened. "Luli, you are such a good child. Unlike Feng, who has been a little devil since he was little. In the future, when you have time, you must discipline him properly." Facing her grandmother's admonition, Su Luli just smiled without saying a word. In her opinion, it was inevitable for boys to be mischievous. She was a girl, and even she had rebellious tendencies at school, let alone Gu Feng. Wang Ma and the other maids were busy in the kitchen when they saw Gu Feng come in. They thought there weren't enough snacks prepared. "Young master, aren't there enough snacks? Dinner will be ready soon, so you can wait a little longer, right?" No, Wang Ma, I didn't come for snacks. I came to help you and the others cook dinner." He rolled up his sleeves and went to the sink, where he started washing vegetables without saying a word. Seeing Gu Feng busy with everyone else, Wang Ma was slightly taken aback, and cautiously stepped forward. "Master, have you gotten into trouble again?" "No. I just want to learn to cook from you. I'll show everyone my skills later." Although she said this, Wang Ma's face showed that she had seen it all. Having worked at the Gu Manor for so many years, she had practically watched Gu Feng grow up, and knew his temperament all too well. He had come to the kitchen to help out, and was definitely looking for a way out. Chapter 139, Rewarded with a Big Project. She busied herself in the kitchen for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, all the dishes were ready, and Wang Ma called on a few ants to prepare the dishes, while she herself stepped out to inform everyone that dinner was ready. When Wang Ma returned from the living room, Gu Feng was still standing next to the sink picking vegetables. "Young master, dinner is ready, please go out and eat with everyone. I have checked, and madam is not angry," Wang Ma whispered as she approached Gu Feng. "No anger? Okay, I'll go out now." Putting down the vegetables in his hands, Gu Feng picked up the paper towel next to him to wipe the water stains on his hands. Then he turned his head and walked towards the outside of the kitchen. Wang Ma had watched him grow up since childhood, and she would never lie to herself. If she said it was fine, then it was definitely fine. When he walked out of the kitchen, his mother, Aunt Bai, and the others were already sitting in the dining room. "Mom, isn't my dad coming back?" He came smiling to Su Liuli's side and pretended to sit down first. "Your father went to a meeting in Yundu and won't be back for a few days. Hurry up and sit down and get ready to eat." Mom didn't answer, but Grandma took the initiative to respond. It wasn't long before Wang Ma and a few aunts came out with the prepared lunch. Just as Bai Yufeng had arranged, the dishes were mainly vegetables and very light, but the taste was incredibly fresh. "Liuli, take a look at these dishes and see if you like them." Bai Yufeng pointed at the delicate vegetables in front of her. Compared to the big fish and meat, these vegetables looked more appetizing. "Well, I like it." "Giggle, giggle, if you like it, eat more. Here, try this bok choy." Upon hearing Su Liuli say that she liked it, Bai Yufeng covered her mouth and laughed lightly, and then picked up the pair of chopsticks next to her and picked up a chopstick of bok choy and put it in the bowl for Su Liuli. "The food is really good today, and even I like it." When Grandma took the initiative to say that she also liked it, Gu Feng immediately picked up the chopsticks and gave her some food. The dinner was a great success. Grandma, who usually doesn't have much of an appetite, actually ate quite a bit, which was quite a surprise to Song Huilan. After dinner, the maids cleaned up the dining room. After taking care of the kitchen, Wang Ma went straight to Su Liuri's side. "Miss Su, the ingredients for the 100 flowers cake are ready, look." "Oh, we'll learn it right now." Wang Ma said the ingredients were ready, and Su Luli, upon hearing this, put her hands on the sofa in front of her and got up from her grandmother's side. Before leaving, she turned to her grandmother, who was sitting on the sofa, and said, "Grandma, I'm going to learn how to make 100 flower cake with Wang Ma. You rest first, and I'll let you taste it when I'm done." "Make 100 flower cake? Okay, Wang Ma, you teach her well. I'll be here tonight waiting to eat the 100 flower cake my granddaughter makes." Ha 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 ha. Sitting on the sofa, Grandma had a smile on her lips, and her smile revealed her inner expectations. For her, the 100 flower cake made by her granddaughter personally meant a lot. Tonight, she must taste it properly. "Liuli, your grandmother gets to taste it, but can I and your mother taste it too? We too are also looking forward to your cooking." "Girl, your auntie is right, we can't just let your grandmother taste it, I, as your mother, also have to taste it, ha ha." Song Huilan said happily, and Su Liuli nodded slightly in response. She had only gone to learn how to make 100 flowers cake from Wang Ma, but she hadn't expected everyone to be so eager to learn. Given the situation, if she didn't learn well, she wouldn't be able to teach it properly. "Mom, I'll go to the kitchen with Liuli." "Wait. You don't need to go, stay here, I have something to discuss with you." Gu Feng got up to follow Su Liuli to the kitchen, but before he could take a step, he was stopped by his mother, Song Huilan. "Discuss something? Mom, what are you discussing with me?" He muttered to himself. Every time his mother took the initiative to find him, it was never anything good, and this time was no exception. Gu Feng froze in front of the sofa, and Song Huilan raised her hand to indicate, "Why are you so nervous? It's not going to eat you, sit down first." Watching Su Liuli gradually walk away with Wang Ma, Gu Feng had no choice but to sit down again. "Actually, it's not a big deal. Yu Feng, you tell him." Gu Feng sat down, and Song Huilan turned to Bai Yufeng and asked her a question. "Okay, I'll tell you. Xiaofeng, you went with your mother to the Kyushu group today, and you should have seen that the overseas business situation is complicated. You have a company in Shanghai, right? Can you spare some people to help you on a business trip?" Bai Yufeng's words left Gu Feng puzzled. The entire Kyushu group has tens of thousands of employees, so it shouldn't be difficult to form an investigation team. "Gu Feng, I know you're curious about why. Your mother and I have just discussed this. 30% of the business of the Kyushu group is overseas, and countless middle and senior management of the companies involved. Under the current circumstances, in order to thoroughly understand the specific situation, we still have to find someone outside the group to investigate, so that there will be no conflict of interests. Do you understand what I mean?" With a serious look on her face, Bai Yufeng rarely showed this expression. I understand, but I still have one doubt. How do you know that I have the right person on my side? What if all the people in my company are mediocrities, and I can't find anything out even if I go overseas for investigation? Gu Feng asked, with his arms folded, leaning sideways. Bai Yufeng and Song Huilan, who had heard this, smiled at each other. Your mother just told me that you are notorious for being crafty, and you won't use someone who is incapable. Let's cut the crap, can you agree? Of course I can agree, but this is a costly and laborious matter. I can't do it for free, can I? Aunt Bai, Mom, you two have to pay me some compensation for my efforts, right? Smiling and rubbing your fingers together, they say that even close brothers should be clear about accounts. You can't help your own mother for free, and the benefits you should give should still be given. He pointed angrily at Gu Feng, and Bai Yufeng gritted her teeth in anger. Since you've said that, how about I discuss it with your mother and give you a big project after it's done? What big project? Gu Feng's eyes lit up at the mention of a big project. You don't need to worry about that, just that it's a big project. But let's get this straight, if your people don't find out anything, then there won't be a big project as a reward. Okay. It's a deal. For the so-called big project mentioned by Aunt Bai, he is also willing to risk it today. He will go back and discuss it. If nothing unexpected happens, this difficult task will fall on Shen Zhengyang. Okay, everything that needs to be explained has been clearly explained. You go to the kitchen and help Liuli make the 100-flower cake. Okay. Without thinking too much, he got up and walked towards the kitchen. Looking at Gu Feng's departing back, Bai Yufeng covered her mouth and laughed. Huilan, what do you think? I know this son of mine better than you do. As soon as I mentioned the benefits, he immediately agreed. He agreed, but are you sure this child can get this done? Chapter 140, Who knows who's taking care of who? Kiki, what's the matter? You don't trust your own son? Do you still think that when Feng was in elementary school, he only knew how to cry? You can rest assured that you can leave this matter to him. Bai Yufeng spoke with a firm tone, and Song Huilan glanced sideways towards the kitchen. In her heart, Gu Feng was still just a child. Mom, I have another question for you. Tomorrow, Liuli and Xiaofeng are going back to Modu. Are you really going back with the two children? After finishing talking with Bai Yufeng, Song Huilan turned her head to look at Gu Feng's grandmother, who was sitting across from them. She had previously expressed a wish to go to the demon capital with the two children, and now that they were leaving tomorrow, she wondered what the old lady was really thinking. Go to the demon capital. I don't have anything to do at home anyway, so going to the demon capital with the two children will allow me to take care of Liuli and also keep myself entertained. Old lady, you'll be taking care of Liuli? You're in poor health. Looking at the old lady with suspicion, Bai Yufeng had doubts in her heart. At Grandma Gu Feng's age and in her current state of health, if she really went to the demon capital, it was doubtful who would be taking care of whom. Having followed her mother-in-law around for many years, she knew her temper all too well. Since she had already said that, she must definitely go to the demon capital with them. Mom, I'll ask someone to find some aunties from the demon capital to take care of you and Liuli. If you don't feel comfortable, I can have Aunt Wang go with you. No need. Wang Ma's family is in the imperial capital, there's no need to ask her to travel such a long distance. Just find a few people to take care of Su Liuli. I'm still healthy, I don't need someone to take care of me. Song Huilan and Bai Yufeng sat on the sofa, including Gu Feng's grandmother, chatting briefly. Gu Feng and Su Liuli were in the kitchen, learning how to make 100 flowers cake from Wang Ma. Phew! This stuff is really delicious to eat, but also really complicated to make. Wang Ma, just the process of kneading the dough, I could spend 3 days learning it and still not be able to master it. Standing to the left of Su Liuli, she gaped at the kneading bowl in front of Su Liuli and Wang Ma. Apart from the ratio of flour to water, there were also various auxiliary ingredients, and even the water temperature needed to be measured with a thermometer. After a full 20-odd minutes, the dough was finally kneaded. How do you feel, Miss Su? Wang Ma, the steps are a bit complicated, I may not be very proficient. That's okay, it's normal to not be very proficient the first time. Anyway, the dough needs to rest for a while, so why not take this opportunity to start again? The two most important things in making 100 flour cake are baking and kneading the dough. In order to help Su Liuli become more familiar with the kneading process, it was decided that she should start again. Su Liuli nodded without hesitation in response to Wang Ma's suggestion. She poured water into the bowl again, and at the same time poured the prepared fresh flower petals into the bowl. After checking the water temperature, she started to knead the dough. Her movements were swift and unhurried, without a hint of slowness. Gu Feng and Aunt Wang stood nearby, watching the smooth and graceful movements of Su Luli, their expressions full of surprise and admiration. Miss Su, the lady was right, you really are very clever. When I learned how to make 100-flower cake, the kneading process alone took me half a day. I never thought you would be able to do it in one go, and so skillfully at that, it's just unbelievable. I'm beginning to wonder if you've learned how to make similar pastries before. Aunt Wang muttered to herself, her gaze fixed on Su Luli. Thank you for your praise. But, Wang Ma, let me discuss something with you. From now on, don't call me Miss Su, just call me Lioli. Although Wang Ma works at the Gu Manor, she is after all an elder, and has always respectfully addressed herself as Mississippi. She is really a bit uncomfortable with this. I didn't expect Su Lioli to say such a thing. Wang Ma stood in place, slightly hesitant. Wang Ma, Lioli has already said this, so you should change the way you address her. I also feel that it is more intimate to call you Lily. Gu Feng spoke in time, and Wang Ma dispelled her concerns. Okay, then I will call you Miss Lily. From Miss Su to Miss Lily, Su Lily heard this and a wry smile flashed across her delicate porcelain-like and jade-like face. Wang Ma was not used to calling her by her first name directly, and she did not continue to insist. It was just a name, so let Wang Ma call her whatever she was comfortable with. In front of the two of them, it took about 10 minutes to knead the dough completely and beautifully. Wang Ma reached out and pressed on Su Lioli's soft dough, and after carefully examining it, she couldn't help but nod repeatedly. Good, perfect. Miss Lioli, the dough you kneaded is quite good, let's prepare the molds next to set the shape. She took out various molds from the cupboard and let Su Lioli choose the one she liked best to start shaping the 100-flower cakes. Time passed by in seconds. Less than 10 minutes later, the first batch of 100-flower cakes was shaped. Under Wang Ma's guidance, Su Lili placed the shaped pastries neatly on a baking tray one by one. The oven was preheated at 150 degrees Celsius for 2 minutes, followed by baking at 200 degrees Celsius. Then Wang Ma carefully explained the baking process to Su Lili again. The complexity of the process was astonishing. Not to mention Gu Feng standing nearby, even Su Lili didn't fully remember it the first time. Wang Ma, you need to go in and out 3 times to bake it. That's too much trouble. Can't you find a way to bake it all in one go? After Gu Feng finished speaking, Wang Ma first smiled and shook her head, then explained, Young master, I asked this question when I was an apprentice. Although baking it all in one go is simpler, it will affect the texture, and the point of 100-flower cake is that it is crispy. If you want the pastry to be crispy, you must go through these 3 steps again and again. Miss Lioli, you try it yourself, I'll watch from the side, and if there's anything wrong, I'll give you a hint. Well. Miss Lu, nod slightly, recall the steps just mentioned by Wang Ma in your mind, and start to operate step by step. Although it is very slow, the steps are correct. After nearly an hour, all the 100-flower cakes are finally baked. Young master, this is the 100-flower cake I made, and this is the one Miss Lu made. Taste them and see if there is any difference. Put 2 pieces of 100-flower cake on a plate and hand it to Gu Feng. Okay, I'll try it. Although he has already eaten dinner, the enchanting fragrance of the 100-flower cake makes him want to try it. From the outside, it is impossible to tell the difference between the 200-flower cakes. He picks up the one made by Wang Ma on the left and puts it in his mouth. He savors the taste and it is as crispy as always. After finishing the pastry in his hand, he continues to taste the other one. In Su Lioli's expectant eyes, Gu Feng hesitates for a long time before finally shaking his hand. The taste is exactly the same, and it is impossible to tell the difference. Chapter 141, The green is more blue than the blue. Tastes the same? Su Lioli's eyes were bright as morning dew, and her whole face was full of innocence and freshness. In front of Gu Feng and Wang Ma, she extended her slender jade hands, picked up a piece of 100-flowers cake she made, and brought it to her mouth. She sniffed her delicate nose lightly, and the familiar floral aroma was refreshing. Judging from the aroma alone, indeed, there was no difference. Miss Lioli, please try it. It's good. In Wang Ma's kind eyes, Su Luli held the multicolored cake to her lips, opened her soft lips, and bit into the multicolored cake with her small cherry lips. After chewing carefully, her pretty face was full of surprise, her eyes slightly narrowed, and she looked at Gu Feng with a smile. It really does taste the same. Wang Ma, did I succeed? After looking up at Gu Feng and finishing what she had to say, she couldn't wait to turn her head and take Wang Ma's hand. Excitement was spreading across her smooth and cute face. She herself was surprised that she had managed to make such a complicated flour cake successfully the first time. Of course, the success was mainly due to Wang Ma's teaching her everything she knew, but for her, it was still a very happy thing. Well, it worked. Wang Ma nodded with a smile, and Su Luli's eyes revealed stars, making her even happier. Wang Ma, I want to do it on my own. Good. By familiarizing yourself with it again, you will become more and more proficient. Su Luli said she wanted to start again, and Wang Ma agreed without thinking. Gu Feng remained standing nearby, watching quietly. He had great confidence in Su Luli. Reperforming the previous steps, compared to the awkwardness of the first time, this time was significantly more proficient. In just 20 minutes or so, the shaped 100-flour cake had been pushed into the oven. When the time was up, the moment the oven door was opened, the familiar aroma of the 100-flour cake filled the kitchen. Just by smelling it, I know it's right. Without tasting it, just from the aroma wafting from the oven, Wang Ma knew that Su Luli had definitely made the right 100-flour cake this time. Wang Ma, you try it first. The baked 100-flour cake was neatly arranged on a plate, and Su Luli carefully picked up a piece and handed it to Wang Ma. After taking a bite, she nodded in amazement. It's really good. Miss Suli, they say that the student surpasses the master, and today I've finally seen for myself. Your 100-flour cake is overflowing with the fragrance of flowers and has a sweet aftertaste. I'm truly humbled. Really? Let me try some too. Gu Feng's eyes lit up. From his knowledge of Wang Ma, she was not the type of person to like flattery. He swallowed half a piece of the 100-flour cake in one go, tasted it carefully in his mouth, hesitated for a moment, and looked at Wang Ma with a puzzled expression. Wang Ma, the taste is similar to the one you made. It's not similar at all, it's clearly tastier than mine. Young master, you say again, is it tastier than mine? Wang Ma's words carried a hidden meaning, and Gu Feng immediately understood, and promptly patted his head. Yes, it is indeed a little tastier than yours. All right. Su Lili was a little unable to laugh or cry. She was not stupid, and of course she could tell that Gu Feng and Wang Ma were deliberately praising her. Wang Ma, Gu Feng, Grandma and Mom are still waiting outside for the pastries. Let's take these 100-flour pastries out and let everyone taste them together. Okay. After much hard work, Gu Feng and Wang Ma helped to take the finished 100-flour pastries, plate after plate, to the living room. Song Huilan and Bai Yufeng were chatting in the living room. Grandma is sitting across from her, but there is no one to chat with, so she is leaning back on the sofa, with a pillow in her arms, and dozing off. She doesn't notice when Su Lili arrives. Grandma. Are you tired? Seeing that Grandma is about to fall asleep, Su Lili walks softly and sets the tray of 100-flour cakes on the coffee table. Ha! Lioli! You're finally here, girl. If you'd been any later, Grandma would have fallen asleep. Is this your 100-flour cake? It smells so good. Grandma opens her hazy eyes and, while taking her granddaughter's hand, looks at the 100-flour cake on the coffee table. Grandma, I made these with Miss Lily, and she made these on her own. Miss Lily is really smart, she can learn anything. How does it taste? Wang Ma respectfully approaches and lifts a plate of 100-flour cake from the coffee table, gently handing it to Grandma. Okay, I'll try it. Hearing that her granddaughter had made the 100-flour cake herself, the old lady's eyes were full of anticipation. Wang Ma, give us 2 pieces so we can try it too. Yes, ma'am. After letting Grandma Gu Feng take a piece of the 100-flour cake, Wang Ma turned around and handed the plate with the 100-flour cake to Song Huilan and Bai Yufeng. After each had tasted the 100-flour cake, everyone, including Grandma Gu Feng, looked surprised. Wang Ma, you said this 100-flour cake is made of glass? My goodness. Bai Yufeng patted Song Huiran's thigh. Huiran, does it taste the same as Wang Ma's? Is it because I don't eat it often that I feel it's exactly the same as Wang Ma's? Auntie Bai, of course it's the same. After all, Wang Ma taught it to her personally. I'll have another piece. Louis sat on one side, lifted his hand and picked up a piece of 100-flour cake from the plate to devour it. Everyone sat in the living room, happily chatting while eating the 100-flour cake. With Gu Feng and Su Lili joining in, Grandma no longer felt sleepy, and she even felt more and more energetic as the conversation continued. Time passed quickly, and it was already 10:30 in the evening. Feng, it's getting late, you should take Lioli home and get some rest. Looking down at the clock, it was already 10:30 in the evening. Su Liuli was pregnant, and there was an elderly woman next to her, so she should go home and get some rest early. Xiaofeng, Luli, your mother is right, your health is the most important thing, so you should go home and rest early. Yes, Grandma, I will help you go home first. No, it's fine, just let your mother take care of me on the way home. Xiaofeng, take Luli home. While smiling and shaking his head, he motioned for Gufeng to come over, go home and take good care of Luli, and let her go to bed early tonight. Grandma, don't worry, I will definitely take care of Luli. With a full promise, she took Su Luli's jade hands from her grandmother and the two of them walked together towards the bedroom not far away. After waiting for Gufeng and Su Luli to go back to the room to rest, Bai Yufeng also left, and Song Huilan helped Gufeng's grandmother return to the room. Back in the room, Su Luli immediately went to the bed and sat down, subconsciously bending down to stroke her ankle. What's wrong? Are you tired? She closed the door, squatted down, and grabbed Su Lili's slender calves with her hands, gently lifting them. It's nothing, I probably haven't exercised for a long time, and I walked a lot today, so my feet hurt a little. Her shoes were taken off, and her pale little feet fell into Gufeng's hands, and Su Lili's eyes flickered away. It doesn't look like anything serious, maybe she's just tired. Just sit here quietly, I'll go prepare some hot water. I'll soak your feet and give you a massage. Wait a minute, I'll prepare the water myself. With her hands propped on the edge of the bed, before she could even try to stand up, Gufeng had already reached out and pushed her back down. I'll do it, just wait patiently. A look of concern in his eyes, just one glance, made Su Liuli feel infinitely close and at ease. Okay. I'll wait for you. A warm current flashed through her heart. Su Liuli nodded slightly shyly with a look of deep love in her eyes. Chapter 142, It's Hard to be a Gentleman. He turned and walked towards the washroom, added warm water to the foot bath, and carried the basin to the bedside. Here, let me wash you. He slowly crouched down and reached out to hold Su Lili's slender ankles. He felt the temperature of the water with his hand beforehand, and it was just right, so he slowly lowered Su Lili's crystal clear little feet into the foot bath. Is the water temperature right? It's fine. Looking down at Gufeng, who was crouching in front of her, Su Liuli bit her soft lips lightly and nodded slightly. Holding Su Liuli's jade feet in his hands, Gufeng began to massage them gently. At this time, Su Liuli's eyes were filled with nervousness, her hands tightly grasping the bedsheets, and her face flushed. Ah. What's wrong? Halfway through the massage, Su Liuli suddenly let out a cry, and the sudden sound directly startled Gufeng. No, it's nothing. Su Li explained in a low voice. Gufeng looked down at the jade-like feet in his hands and laughed the next second. Liuli, are you and I still shy? I'm not. It's just that this area is more sensitive. Not to mention Gufeng, even if she moved herself, she couldn't stand it. Ha ha ha. Okay, I got it. I'll move more gently. After massaging and washing Su Liuli's feet for 10 minutes, Gufeng slowly stood up. Go lie down inside and rest, I'll clean up. Okay, I'll go change into some pajamas. The water droplets on her feet had already been wiped clean by Gufeng, who found the slippers by the bedside. While Gufeng turned around, she walked straight to the closet. According to her mother-in-law, she had asked Aunt Bai to prepare in advance many things that could be used at night, including pajamas, of course. Reaching into the closet, she saw a neat row of lace pajamas. There were a lot of them, but the styles of these pajamas made Su Liuli's face flush. The colors were mainly red, all of them incredibly sexy, and there were even a few that she doubted were proper pajamas. No wonder Aunt Bai had that expression on her face. A bitter smile formed on her cherry lips. When her mother-in-law told her that there were pajamas in the closet, Aunt Bai's eyes had looked strange, and now she could see why. The suitcase was originally in the living room, but at this time of day, if nothing unexpected happened, it should have already been put away by Wang Ma and the aunts. Now there were only two options in front of her. Either she picked one of these at random, or she would sleep without pajamas. After thinking about it, Su Liuli finally closed her eyes and reached out, taking one of these pajamas at random. Sexy or not, it was better than wearing nothing. Before Gufeng came out of the bathroom, Su Liuli walked over to the bed with a set of pajamas embroidered with gold lace. In less than a minute, she changed into the red pajamas. When she looked at them in the closet, they felt especially sexy, but after putting them on, she realized that she had been a bit too conservative in her thinking. The lower half was okay, at least covering the area above the buttocks. But the upper half, with just two slender and transparent straps, and the fabric, was downright seductive. Lioli was standing shyly by the bed, looking in the mirror, when she suddenly heard the sound of Gufong from the bathroom. Su Lioli was startled, and before Gufong came out of the bathroom, she quickly climbed into bed and pulled the quilt next to her over her. She curled up, her immaculate white arms tightly hugging the quilt. Gufong walked out of the bathroom and looked at Su Lioli, curled up at the head of the bed. Lioli, what do you mean by this? We're an old married couple, why do I feel like you're protecting yourself from a pervert? I'm not going to eat you, so why are you hugging the quilt so tightly? As he spoke, he strolled over to the bed. Su Lioli only had her arms exposed, and he thought that she had just taken off her clothes. Watching as Gufong came over, Su Lioli not only didn't put the quilt down, but instead hugged it even tighter. Her face was like a delicate flower, and she looked at Gufong. Aren't you a pervert? Me? A pervert? He lifted a finger, full of surprise, pointing at himself. With his appearance, he can't be said to be handsome, at least he can't be considered a wolf. Puff. In my opinion, you are a wolf, a big wolf. His delicate and soft skin, coupled with his shy eyes, makes people can't help but feel affection. Good. Since you say I'm a big wolf, then I'll do something a big wolf should do. Ha ha ha. He gave a forced laugh, rubbed his hands together, and the next second, he reached out to remove the quilt from Su Lioli's body. No. Humph, I'm going to wash my face, you stay here by yourself. Before Gufong could reach out to remove the quilt from her body, Su Lioli quickly put the quilt aside, got out of bed, and went straight to the washroom. It wasn't until the other person rolled over and got out of bed that Gufong saw that Su Lioli's exquisite and delicate body was wearing a pair of extremely sexy red lace pajamas. He was stunned for more than 10 seconds, and it was only when Su Lioli had completely entered the washroom that Gufong recovered. What was going on? Was this a test of my concentration? Regardless of whether he was a pervert or not, Su Lioli's attire was such that even if a saint came along, he would not be able to resist. He rearranged the quilt and waited on the bed for nearly 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, the washroom door opened and Su Lioli, wearing her pajamas, tiptoed out. Her head was slightly bowed, and she didn't dare to look directly at Gufong, who was not far away. With such a shy expression, a beautiful face, a graceful figure, and the clothes on her body, her charm was taken to the next level. Gufong came over to the side with a smile on his lips. Are your feet still uncomfortable? I'll carry you to bed. Without giving Su Li the chance to respond, he reached behind her back and picked her up in a princess carry. The sudden sense of weightlessness directly startled Su Li. Ah. Shoo. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. Humph, I don't believe you. Her head buried deep in his arms, she refused to believe him no matter how much flattery he showered her with. Feeling the softness in his arms, he slowly placed Su Lioli down by the edge of the bed. In the other person's watery, alluring eyes, he reached over and pulled the quilt next to him over her. Your husband is not some kind of pervert. In the future, please call me a gentleman. After saying this to Su Lioli, in the other person's astonished gaze, Gufong bypassed the end of the bed and went to the other side of the bed. He lifted the quilt, and before lying down, he raised his hand to turn off the bedside lamp. With both hands supporting the quilt, he lay on the bed and looked at the side of Gufong. Su Lioli suddenly spoke softly, I'm going to sleep. You should go to sleep early too. After the words fell, a strange color flashed in Gufeng's eyes, and he stared at Su Lioli seriously while lying on his side. Her lips were rosy and petite, like bright peaches, making people unable to help but want to taste them. Lioli, can we discuss something? What is it? With clear eyes, he also lay on his side, with one arm next to him and his fragrant shoulders exposed. It's not a big deal, it's just that it's too hard to be a gentleman, so in the future, just call me a pervert. Chapter 143 Household Register. As soon as the words fell, Su Lioli, who had not yet fully reacted, was directly embraced. As the delicate body entered his embrace, Gufeng's hands gradually began to get restless. They moved, but only to the extent of moving his hands. Su Lioli was pregnant, and the doctor had specifically instructed that she not have sex, and he did not dare joke with Su Lioli and the baby in her belly. After a short moment of lingering, Su Lioli's face was flushed, and her eyes were dazed. Her head rested lightly in Gufeng's arms, one hand placed in front of her, the other hanging by her side, not knowing where to put it. Cough cough. Lioli, why don't we just go to sleep? You seem to be in pain? His voice was so soft it was like a mosquito's chirp, but fortunately the surroundings were quiet and the two were close together, so Gufong could hear him clearly. In pain? It is a bit uncomfortable indeed. For him, this was no longer a matter of being uncomfortable or not, it was more like suffering. His sexy and cute daughter-in-law was lying next to him, but he dared not do anything, not to mention how painful it was. Her beautiful eyes were slightly shy. She wanted to help but didn't know what to do. She didn't have much experience with this kind of thing herself. She stared at Gufeng for a long time, curvating her red lips slightly. How can I help you? Help me? No, it's not a big deal. You should go to sleep. He patted Su Luoli's head. He never thought that Su Luoli could say such a thing. As hard as it was for him to bear, he absolutely could not let Su Luoli help him. Not to mention how he was going to help, just the way Su Luoli blushed at the slightest provocation, he could not imagine how the other person would behave when helping him. After being patted on the head, Su Luoli's head moved slightly, and she gave a playful glance at Gufeng. Then I'll really go to sleep. Okay, go to sleep. Well, good night. Without having to help herself, Su Lily didn't think about it much. It was already very late, and she needed to rest as much as the baby in her belly did. Lying quietly in Gufeng's arms, Su Lily closed her eyes and began to sleep. Perhaps because it was so comfortable in his arms, it wasn't long before she closed her eyes and a clear breathing sound suddenly came to Gufeng's ears. The breathing sound was slightly low-pitched, as if she was having some difficulty breathing. Asleep? In order to make Su Lily breathe more easily, he specifically lifted the quilt on top of her a little, while slightly raising his arm. Once the arm was slightly elevated, the breathing sound in his ear did indeed become softer. After arranging everything, Gufeng himself then began to close his eyes and sleep. In the blink of an eye, it was the next day. Early in the morning, Grandma and Mom were sitting in the living room when they saw Gufeng and Su Lily come out. Grandma, her venerable self, couldn't wait to get up and wave at the two of them. Xiaofeng, Lioli, come over here quickly. Grandma. Grandma, you're so happy early in the morning, what's the happy occasion? Gufeng followed Su Lioli and, seeing how happy his grandmother was, couldn't help but smile and ask. Rascal, there are indeed a few things that make Grandma happy. Come, you two sit down first. Gufeng and Su Lioli helped the three of them to the sofa. As soon as they sat down, Song Huilan, who was sitting opposite them, took out a stack of invitations from the side. It was a thick stack of gold-foiled invitations, and a preliminary estimate was that there were almost 20 to 30 of them. Mom, what do you mean? You don't mean that you want me and Luli to help you hand out the invitations, do you? Taking her hand off the invitations, Song Huilan first gave Gufeng a blank look, and then shook her head and looked at Su Luli. Luli, these invitations are for you. The format has already been printed, so you can just give them to your friends. Although it's an engagement, you must have some friends of your own to invite. Are these invitations enough? If not, Mom has a lot more here. I don't know how many friends my son and daughter-in-law want to invite, so I just took about 30 invitations. That's more than enough. Mom, we have more or less decided how many friends to invite, and these invitations are enough. After thinking about it, there are only a few roommates in the dormitory, so there are only 6 invitations, and Gufeng will give a few more to Yunding Technology. Grandma, Mom, you two are so happy early in the morning just because of these invitations? Pointing at the stack of invitations in front of him, Gufeng's tone was full of doubt, and even Su Lioli's eyes showed some confusion. Facing Gufeng's inquiry, Grandma and his mother Song Huilan exchanged a glance with each other. Mom, this is such an important matter, you should talk to the two children. Okay, I'll do it. Without any hesitation, Grandma nodded and agreed, taking her grandson's left hand and her granddaughter-in-law's right hand. You too, don't you need to get your marriage certificate sometime? Look at this. In front of the two, she took out 2 small red notebooks from under the coffee table. Upon closer inspection, the 3 gold embossed characters household register book were written on them. Household register book. No, Grandma, why are there 2 household register books? After taking the 2 household register books from Grandma's hands, he opened the first one, which was their family's household register book, and then opened the second one. Sitting next to Grandma, Su Luli couldn't help but glance over. To the surprise of the two, the second household register book was actually Su Luli and Grandpa's household register book. Mom, why is Su Luli's family register in our house? With 2 family registers in their hands, Gufeng and Su Luli's gazes fell on Song Huilan at the same time. Grandma has been at home all along, so she couldn't have brought the family register from Xingfu village in Longhai City. The only possibility is their own mother. Your grandfather gave it to me himself. When we left, your grandfather gave it to your father personally, and your father handed it to me right away. The purpose was to let you two get married as soon as possible. I thought you two would ask me for it at some point, but I didn't expect you two to be in such a hurry. Since you're not in a hurry, I, as your mother, have to be. You take the household registration book. Tomorrow is Monday, find some time to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau and get the certificate. Song Huilan's mouth always held a slight smile as she spoke. The thought that Gu Feng and Su Liuli would soon be getting married and getting their certificate made her very happy. Feng, Liuli, when you two get married, can you bring Grandma along? Grandma will take pictures for you to remember. Grandma, you can take pictures? With a surprised look, Grandma, who usually doesn't even like to use a smartphone, really isn't sure about this kind of technology. In response to Gu Feng's doubt, the old lady seemed to be dismissive. Rascal, your grandma is at least an intellectual, how can I not know how to take pictures? Chapter 144, Set up an investigation team. Yes, Grandma is so amazing, how could she not know how to take pictures? Oof. When you said that, it was obvious that you didn't want to bring Grandma with you when you got your license. Ignoring Gu Feng's awkward gaze, Su Liuli pouted her lips slightly and snorted arrogantly. No, that's not what I meant. He hurriedly waved his hands to explain, and Grandma is about to return to the Devil's capital with them, so he didn't dare offend the old lady at this time. Otherwise, with Grandma's character, after arriving in the demon capital, she will definitely settle the score with him. Upon hearing this, Song Huilan covered her mouth and laughed lightly, while Grandma gently stroked the back of her granddaughter's delicate, pale hands with her own. Since Liuli has no objections, we'll set a date right now. You two take the household registration book and prepare to get your certificate when? Gu Feng held the household register in his hands, and the exact time for the marriage registration was something the elders did not plan to interfere with. Well, Grandma, I completely agree with Liuli. Holding the household register, Gu Feng decisively looked at Su Liuli. Feeling Gu Feng's gaze, Su Liuli thought for a moment, her big, watery eyes blinking lightly. Grandma, tomorrow is Monday, how about tomorrow? Tomorrow? Ah, okay, Liuli means tomorrow is tomorrow. Deep down, she can't wait for her grandson and granddaughter-in-law to get married as soon as possible. So when Su Liuli says tomorrow, she is overjoyed. Mom, look how happy you are. This time, when you go to the Magic City with Xiaofeng and Liuli, you must take care of your health. Don't let the two children have to take care of you if you can't look after Liuli. Grandma is very worried about going to the Magic City with them. On the one hand, she is worried that the elderly won't be able to adapt, and on the other, she is worried about the elderly's health. Over this period of time, Grandma's health has been getting worse and worse. She can't get away from work, otherwise she would have to go with them. Don't worry, Mom knows her own health. I promise I won't cause any trouble for Feng and Liuli. With a smile on her wrinkled face, Grandma spoke very firmly. Since Grandma had said that, Song Huilan didn't continue to say anything, and she signaled Gu Feng to put the two household registration books away. The four of them sat down on the sofa and started chatting. Before they knew it, it was breakfast time. When they arrived in the dining room, the main breakfast dish was still the 100-flour cake, mainly because there was too much left over from last night. If it wasn't eaten in time, it would be a waste. After breakfast, Gu Feng, who had nothing to do, went for a stroll outside the manor, while Su Liuli stayed at home with her grandmother to learn how to make clothes for the baby. Phew! Chen Zhangyang. He should be the best candidate for the Kyushu Group's overseas investigation mission. He walked along the road, thinking about what his mother and aunt had told him. Investigating all of Kyushu Group's overseas projects, if someone else were to do this, it would be normal to get no results for a year or half a year. After all, Kyushu Group is huge. The forces within it are intricate and complicated. It is not easy to investigate the shenanigans within, let alone sort out the ins and outs of these matters. Phew, it's difficult for others, but for me it's a piece of cake. Ha ha. Calm inside. Before his rebirth, it took him nearly 2 years to completely figure out these overseas operations of the Kyushu Group. With the announcement of the investigation results, there was an uproar within the entire Kyushu Group. More than 2/3 of the overseas leaders were dismissed and investigated, and more than a dozen senior executives at the headquarters were fired, including several who were sent directly to prison. Such a big move, even Song Huilan, who had long since retired to the sidelines, could not help but stand up and ask about the situation. After more than a month of cleanup, the entire group's cancer was finally completely removed in one go. For the Kyushu Group, that investigation and cleanup can definitely be described as a radical cure that did not deal a major blow, but was also greatly affected. This time, it may be much easier. With the experience gained before the rebirth, it is ultimately much more proficient to investigate these overseas businesses again. Many mistakes that should not be made can be completely avoided. Gu Feng walked along the road for a few hundred meters, and after a few hundred meters, he stopped in front of a fence. He took out his mobile phone, found Chen Zhengyang's number, and pressed the dial button. Do. Chen Zhengyang is in his office, marking up documents. With the rapid development of Yunding technology, the executive vice president is extremely busy every day. Fortunately, he has the help of N and Yuilan with many things, otherwise he would be so busy that he would not even have time to go to the bathroom. President Chen, these documents have already been approved by President Yu and need your signature. Dressed in a professional outfit, and is about to put a stack of documents in her arms in front of Chen Zhengyang. Before she could bend down, the phone next to Chen Zhengyang suddenly vibrated. Buzz buzz buzz. Ha! Secretarian, you can put it down here for now. While picking up the phone, he raised his hand to indicate to and to put it on the desk. When he saw that it was Gu phone calling, Chen Zhengyang subconsciously sat up from his chair. Mr. Gu. Mr. Chen, I'm sorry for disturbing you. Are you busy right now? No, I'm not busy. What can I do for you, Mr. Gu? He spoke respectfully, not to mention that he was really not busy right now. Even if he was in a meeting in the conference room, he would not dare to tell Gu Feng that he was busy. The person on the other end of the phone was the big boss, and if the boss wanted to give work, how dare he, an employee, be presumptuous? He was about to leave when he heard that the person on the other end of the phone was Gu Feng, and Annie stood still and waited quietly. It's not a big deal. I want you to go overseas and mainly investigate the things that will need to be done. Chen Zhengyang was told everything in detail. Worried that the other party might have reservations, he added at the end, don't worry, just follow the process I gave you and you'll have the results in 3 or 5 days. Phew. Okay, Mr. Gu, when should I leave? He took a deep breath. His boss had made his intentions clear, and he felt a lot better. As soon as possible. Hand over the work you have on hand to President Yu. If you are really too busy, ask Annie to help you with it. That matter over there is more important. Let me know when you are ready, and I will arrange for someone to pick you up there. To send Chen Zhengyang to investigate overseas, he must first join those projects. As a member of the investigation team, he will inevitably need the help of some internal employees in order to gain a better understanding of the situation. Okay. Don't worry, I will arrange it as soon as possible. After speaking to Gu Feng, Chen Zhengyang gradually put down the phone. President Chen, what was it about? Gu Feng's secretary's eyes were full of curiosity. As Gu Feng's secretary, if there was something urgent, she would have contacted Chen Zhengyang directly instead of Gu Feng. HM. Without a trace of emotion, Chen Zhengyang nodded and sat back down in his office chair. President Gu wants me to go abroad. What? Go abroad? Does President Gu want to expand overseas? No, even if he wants to expand overseas, he shouldn't be in such a hurry that he needs you, the executive vice president, to make the trip. Chen Zhengyang said Gu Feng wanted him to go abroad, and Annie's face, made up with delicate makeup, was full of surprise. Yunding Technology doesn't have any overseas business. It's not our company's business. It's to act as an investigation team and go investigate the overseas business of the Kyushu Group. Kyushu Group? Which Kyushu Group? Chen Zhengyang spoke in a flat tone, and Annie didn't react for a moment. Chapter 145, Are you in a hurry? The Kyushu Group in the imperial capital. You should have heard of it. Chen Zhengyang nodded slightly. As the chief assistant of Yunding Technology, Annie must have seen a lot. The Kyushu Group is so famous in the country, she couldn't have not heard of it. The Kyushu Group in the imperial capital. Oh my god. Why would President Gu ask you to investigate the internal business of the Kyushu Group overseas? Could it be that? The soft lips with lipstick parted slightly, the nose was high and straight, one hand supporting the chin, and she already guessed something inside. Not just Annie, Chen Jingyan's mind was also like a mirror at this time. If it wasn't related to the Kyushu Group, how could someone let an outsider investigate such an important business? The energy behind our boss is not something you and I can imagine. Secretarian, the boss just said on the phone that I should temporarily hand over the work on hand. If Mr. Yu is really too busy, then I'm afraid I'll have to trouble you. Half bending over, he held out his hands, and from the front, he placed the stack of documents that Annie had brought over in front of him, and opened the top document to prepare to sign it. Okay. You arrange whatever tasks you have. I've been relaxed for so many days, and it's time to get busy. Before Chen Zhengyang and Yuilan came to the company, she basically had to handle all the big and small matters of the entire Yunding technology. It was a busy time. Since Chen Zhengyang and Yuilan came to the company, she has been much more relaxed. Her daily work is to arrange meetings, write journals, and deliver documents. By the way, Mr. Chen, when are you planning to fly abroad? Chen Zhengyang had just signed a document when he heard Annie ask. The pen in his hand paused slightly, and after a brief pause of 1 or 2 seconds, he looked up and responded, "Tomorrow morning." Tomorrow morning? Isn't that a bit too rushed? Chen Zhengyang had originally thought that he would have to wait at least 2 or 3 days before he could leave, but he had never expected that the other party would want to leave the next morning. It was a bit of a rush, but Gu had said on the phone that things were urgent over there. Secretarian, I'm sorry to trouble you, but I need you to help me select a few colleagues to accompany me on a business trip tomorrow morning. This is a last-minute notice, so it may not be that convenient. Do you have any specific requirements for the personnel? Well, as long as they can understand some foreign languages, that's fine. I don't have any other requirements. Okay. Annie nodded and agreed. With just this requirement, it should not be difficult to find some people to go on a short business trip. On the Yunding technology side, Chen Zhengyang and Annie arranged for someone to prepare for the trip. After making the phone call, Gu Feng continued to hang out for a long time. When it was noon, they turned around and headed back to the Gu Manor. Upon returning to the Gu Manor, they entered the living room and saw their grandmother and Su Luli in front of them. These two people, each holding a small floral dress in their hands, were surrounded by all kinds of fabrics on the floor, as well as 2 pairs of exquisite tiger head shoes. Gu Feng, you're back. A glimmer appeared in Su Luli's pure eyes as she walked quickly towards Gu Feng, holding the small dress in her hands. Look, isn't this dress pretty? She stopped in her tracks and propped the dress up with both hands. It's pretty. Luli, don't tell me you made this? Suspicious of Gu Feng, Su Lili twisted her waist lightly and turned her head to show her back. Grandma taught me how to make it. And these little tiger head shoes, Grandma also taught me how to make them. She put the little clothes aside and turned her head to pick up the tiger head shoes on the ground. When Su Lili picked up the shoes, Gu Feng noticed that the tiger head shoes didn't have soles yet, so they hadn't been sewn on yet. Lili, Mom, you two take a break. Come and have some fruit. Hey, Xiaofeng, you're back too. Come and have some fruit together. Song Huilan came out of the kitchen with a stack of fruit and waved a smile, beckoning to several people to come and have some fruit. After eating some fruit and having lunch, it was time to return to the Magic City. Mom, I've asked Xiaoye to make arrangements over there, and there will be a few ants to take care of Lioli. You don't need to worry about anything, just take care of your health. Xiaofeng, take good care of Lioli and your grandmother. If anything happens, call me as soon as possible. In front of the villa gate, Wang Xiaoye and a few secretaries were carrying luggage in their hands. Behind them were 3 brand new commercial vehicles. I know, don't worry. Luli, help your grandmother into the car. Okay. Mom, we're leaving. Waving at her mother-in-law, Su Luli helped her grandmother up. Grandma, let's get in the car. After Su Luli helped her grandmother get in, Gu Feng followed the 2 of them and boarded the middle business car. Chairman, we're leaving. Okay, call me when you arrive. Yes. Take the luggage to the car. Upon Wang Xiaoye's order, several secretaries placed the suitcases in the car one by one. As the first car started, the 2 cars behind it drove out of the Gu Manor together. At the Daidu International Airport, the plane had been waiting for a long time. After taking care of her grandmother and Su Lili boarding the plane, before boarding the plane, Gu Feng received a call from Chen Zhengyang. After learning that Chen Zhengyang was leaving for overseas the next morning, he turned to call Bai Yufeng to arrange the person who would be the contact overseas. After arranging everything, he boarded the plane with his grandmother and Su Lili. Girl, you sit here. Grandma will have someone bring you 2 blankets to keep you warm. The plane was air-conditioned, and she was worried that her granddaughter-in-law would catch a cold, so as soon as they sat down, she asked Wang Xiaoye to ask the flight crew to bring 2 blankets. Thank you, Grandma, I'll just use one. You use this one. She kept one for herself and prepared to put the remaining one on her grandmother. Slightly bowing her body, she carefully covered her grandmother with the blanket. Looking at the gentle and lovely Su Lioli in front of her, the old woman's eyes were full of love. After Su Lioli sat back down in her seat, the plane began to take off. Almost 20 minutes later, Su Lioli, who was chatting with her grandmother a second ago, leaned against Gu Feng's shoulder and fell asleep. Chapter 146, Professional Bodyguard. Flying is tiring, let Lioli sleep well. You stay put. Grandma, aren't you being a bit too much? Looking at Grandma across from him, Gu Feng's mouth twitched twice. He had thought that Grandma would let him rest for a bit as well, but he never expected her to tell him not to move around. Is that too much? Grandma doesn't think it's too much at all. You stay in that position and sit properly, and I'll take a nap too. Remember, don't wake up Lioli, or I'll let you have it. Her expression was kind and amiable, but her words were full of threats. Facing her threats, Gu Feng could only choose to swallow his anger. As the saying goes, if you can bear the storm for a while, the sky will be clear again. If you take one step back, the sky will be even wider. Once you make an old person angry, you will suffer for the rest of your life. He kept his posture until the plane landed at the Shanghai airport. Following Wang Xiaoye and the others out of the airport, a fleet of cars had already been arranged outside. Several Rolls-Royces were neatly lined up together, and a bodyguard dressed in a suit stood next to each car. This was quite a sight. Strolling up to the fleet of cars, Gu Feng looked left and right. Such a high-profile scene really attracted a lot of attention for a while. Old lady, Su Lioli, let's get in the car. Wang Xiaoye quickly walked up and helped open the door of the Rolls-Royce. Su Lioli's body paused slightly as she was pulled by her grandmother's wrist and walked up to the car. Xiaofeng, this car is for the old lady and Su Lioli, you go sit in the back. Except for the passenger seat, a car can only fit 2 people at most. With the old lady and Su Lioli already in the car, Gu Feng could only go to the other car. Fine. He reluctantly agreed and turned around to pull open the door of the car behind. As soon as he sat in the car, before he could even fasten his seatbelt, the car started up and sped off towards the villa district outside Fuxing University. Along the way, he leisurely sat in the back of the car, his gaze looking out the window. Well, as the saying goes, you get what you pay for, and this car is really comfortable. He has sat in many luxury cars, and in terms of comfort, the Rolls-Royce is truly one of the best. Especially the back seat, the comfort is very obvious. After 20 minutes or so, the car slowly drove into the villa. Luckily, there is a large underground garage inside the villa, otherwise there would be nowhere to park. Su Lioli helped her grandmother inside. Well. Gu Feng led the way, followed by Su Lioli supporting her grandmother, while Wang Xiaoye led the others from the car to take down the luggage one by one. Grandma, I'll take you to pick a room later. There are many rooms in here, pick the one you like best. Su Lioli said softly as she helped her grandmother up the steps. Good, good. You pick one for Grandma, as long as you pick it, Grandma will like it. With a smile of relief, the old lady followed Su Lioli into the living room. The overall layout of the villa was not bad, although it was far inferior to the Gu Manor, it was still much larger than an average villa. Entering the living room, he took his grandmother to the living room sofa to sit first, while Gu Feng went to the kitchen to prepare some warm water. He poured a glass of water for everyone, including Wang Xiaoye. Su Lioli, everything has been put over here. The people outside are security guards hired by the chairman. Apart from them, there are a few more. They can be bodyguards for daily trips and are responsible for the villa's security and your safety during the week. Wang Xiaoye pointed outside, where the drivers who had just dropped them off stood neatly next to each car. From their attire and energy, they were definitely very capable professional bodyguards. Sister Xiaoye, can we discuss letting them go back? I can take care of myself. It's peaceful now, so there's no need for so many bodyguards. Besides, I just go to school during the week, and I don't go anywhere else. Su Lioli spoke softly. She really couldn't accept the few bodyguards outside. It was fine here at the villa, but if they really followed her to school, she didn't know how much of a sensation it would cause. Lioli, this was arranged by the chairman, and I can't make the decision. How about this, you give the chairman a call, she will definitely listen to what you say. Putting her hands together in front of her, she had just returned from the imperial capital, how could she be so bold as to call her mother-in-law about this? Seeing Su Lioli's pretty face full of confusion, Wang Xiaoye smiled wanly and took a step forward to stand next to her. Lioli, if you're embarrassed to call, there's another way. As she spoke, she glanced over at the sofa in the living room. Just one movement, and a flash of inspiration crossed Su Liuli's mind, and she suddenly understood what Wang Xiaoye meant. She couldn't refuse her mother-in-law's kindness, but she could try to find a way out with her grandmother. Her words carried weight, even her mother-in-law Song Huilan had to listen obediently. Liuli, those people outside are all the Gu family's bodyguards, and the old lady's words absolutely carry weight. My sister still has things to do in the capital, so she'll be leaving first. Bye. You don't need to see me off. Smiling happily, she waved her hand at Su Liuli, and Wang Xiaoye turned around with a few secretaries and left. After walking out of the villa gate, she took out her phone and dialed Song Huilan's number, informing her that the old lady and young mistress had been safely delivered. Then she took the car and returned to the airport in the demon capital. After Wang Xiaoye left, Su Liuli took a few steps and came to her grandmother. Gu Feng stood behind the sofa, his hands on her shoulders, massaging her shoulders. Liuli, come sit. They've all gone back? Wang Xiaoye and the others, who were originally standing at the door, disappeared without a trace. Grandmother was curious, and just lowered her head, not expecting so many people to suddenly disappear. Well, grandmother, Xiaoye said she had some unfinished business in the imperial capital and was in a hurry to get back. Obeying her grandmother's words, she sat gracefully next to the old lady, her long, slender legs together. The boy Feng isn't very good at anything else, but he's got a knack for massaging shoulders. Do you want him to massage your shoulders? Yes, Grandma, I've never had my shoulders massaged before. I'd like to experience it today. As she spoke, her eyebrows lifted slightly, and she looked at Gu Feng, standing behind the sofa, with a smile. Looking at Su Liuli's stunning face, Gu Feng could only obediently lean over a little, and place his hands on Su Liuli's soft, boneless shoulders. Sit properly. And hold the shoulders to keep them straight. As the 5 fingers exerted force at the same time, Su Liuli could clearly feel a tingling numbness. After the numbness, there was a vague warmth, and overall it was quite comfortable. How was it? Was it very comfortable? Gu Feng pinched her shoulder, and Grandma couldn't help but ask with a smile. Well, it was very comfortable. Grandma, I want to ask you for a favor. Silly child, if there's anything, just tell Grandma. It's actually not a big deal. The bodyguards outside were sent by Mom. I can take care of myself, so can you please help me talk them into going home? Tell them to go home? Well, if it were any other matter, I would have agreed without a second thought. But telling the bodyguards to go home is something I really need to think about. After all, it concerns the safety of my granddaughter and her future grandchildren. Liuli, are you worried that it's inconvenient for them to follow you all the time? Let me tell you, when you go to school, you can tell them to wait at the school gate. Only 2 of them will be assigned each day. Is that okay? Chapter 147, Going Home with Your Ass Out. 2 people. Grandma, can't we really discuss this some more? Biting her lip lightly, Su Liuli's innocent little eyes secretly glanced at Gu Feng standing behind her, as her grandmother, who loved her most, could not agree to her. Stopping what she was doing, she sat down with one hand supporting Su Liuli's shoulder. What are you looking at me like that for? What do you expect me to do for you when Grandma and Mom have decided together? I would like to help, but my words are useless. Smiling happily, Gu Feng spread his hands in a helpless expression. Girl, don't be so stressed. The bodyguards your grandmother has chosen for you have all been carefully selected and are all very experienced. Your grandmother guarantees that they won't affect you. In a word, Gu Feng and Su Liuli were both taken aback. They widened their eyes and an expression of disbelief appeared on their faces. Grandma, you found those bodyguards outside? Yes, I did. Grandma nodded, and Su Liuli's mouth opened slightly. Grandma, really, did you really arrange it? What's wrong with you 2 kids? Can't I fool you when I'm this old? Those bodyguards outside were all carefully selected by me. In addition to these bodyguards, there are also a few ants who will take care of Liuli's daily life, and they will come tomorrow morning. Grandma said seriously, but Su Liuli could only smile bitterly. She had originally wanted to ask Grandma to say something to Mom, but she never expected that the instigator of this whole thing was actually Grandma herself. Fortunately, she hadn't just called Mom, or else it would have been even more embarrassing. Suli, it turns out that it was your grandmother who personally found you. Haha, I think you'd better obediently accept it, and it's unlikely that she'll let her old lady withdraw these bodyguards. In front of her grandmother, Gu Feng laughed without any scruples. Suli, who was sitting next to her, had a face like a bright red cherry, looking at her kind and affable grandmother, and in the end, she could only obediently agree. She agreed, but she also had her own bottom line. Grandma, you just promised me that you wouldn't let them follow me to school. Okay, Grandma promises. Predicting that nothing major would happen at school, Grandma nodded without hesitation in response to Suluwali's request. In this way, all the bodyguards outside were left at the villa, and when the arranged nanny arrived the next morning, the entire villa would become even more lively. Ding dong! Suluwali was about to take Grandma to choose a room for the night's rest when Gufeng's phone suddenly rang. Taking the phone, it was Annie calling. Luwali, you take Grandma to choose a room, I'll take this call. Okay. Grandma, let's go choose a room. For convenience's sake, we'll mainly choose rooms on the first floor. I'll take you to the innermost room first. Sululi led her grandmother away, and Gu Feng decisively pressed the answer button. Hello? President Gu, you've arrived in the Magic City? Yes. Do you have time now? President Chen has already selected the staff and we'll depart tomorrow morning. There are also a few other matters I need to report to you. Standing in Chen Jingyang's office, Annie was on the phone, while Chen Jingyang, Yuilan, and Lu Qidwan sat on the sofa nearby. Okay, I'll be right there. Annie called personally, so there must be a lot going on at the company. He must be concerned about the company he runs single-handedly. He walked towards the bedroom, greeted Su Luli and his grandmother, and walked straight out of the living room. There happened to be two bodyguards standing at the door, both about 30 years old, over 1.85 meters tall, and burly. Standing between the two, Gu Feng suddenly felt as if he were a little chicken. It's been hard, take me out for a trip. The Maybach was still parked in front of the school, and for convenience's sake, he had to let them give him a ride. Yes, my lord. This way please. Bowing, he indicated for Gu Feng to get in. As the bodyguard for the Gu family, they were familiar with Gu Feng as a young master. You stay here. Yes. With a command, the bodyguard closed the car door, walked around the back and opened the driver's door. The car started and slowly drove out of the villa. I think you look familiar. What's your name? Sitting in the back seat, Gu Feng looked up at the bodyguard in the driver's seat and asked. It wasn't that he was deliberately striking up a conversation, but he really felt that the other person looked familiar. Young master, my name is Wang Chang. Wang Chang? Oh, I remember now. A few years ago, I skipped class and went for a swim in the wild. Did you catch me? A twinkle of starlight in his eyes, Gu Feng's eyes narrowed slightly. Facing Gu Feng's inquiry, Wang Chang, who was sitting in the driver's seat, could only nod with an embarrassed smile. It really is you. His mouth twitched slightly twice. If he had just been caught skipping class, he would probably not have remembered. But the last time was different. He had skipped class to go swimming in the wild, and was caught by the bodyguard sent by his father, who made him walk bare-assed for 3 or 5 kilometers. Walking along the road, the passing cars and pedestrians looked at him like they were looking at a monkey. Fortunately, I was young at the time. If it were now, I would be so embarrassed that I would just jump into the river. You tell me, is this not a case of the wrong person in the wrong place? Idle and with nothing to do, leaning lazily against the back of the car, Gu Feng said teasingly. Young master, you can't blame me for this, I was just following the family head's orders. Besides, the place where you went swimming in the wild, I don't know how many people drown there every year. The water is so murky, and there is silt at the bottom. If you're not careful, you could be in danger. To teach you a lesson, we had no choice but to educate you. Educate me? By educate you mean walking several kilometers with my bare bottom? It's not a bad idea, but Wang Chang laughed heartlessly when he heard this. Ha ha ha, young master, this is what the head of the family meant. I remember very clearly that the head of the family told you to walk home with your bare bottom. We were worried that you would catch a cold, so we let you put on some clothes halfway. Chapter 148, Money is not a problem. What, do I have to thank you? Ha ha, young master, it's been so long, I'm very happy that you remember me, so thank you is not necessary. Facing Wang Chang's shameless response, Gu Feng really couldn't help but laugh. Forget it, what's in the past is in the past. You'll go to the company with me later. When you get there, don't call me young master, call me Xiaofeng or Guzong. Okay, no problem, I'll call you Guzong. There are a lot of people in Yunding Technology, and if they hear Wang Chang call him young master, they won't know what to think. The car soon arrived at the bottom of the building. Before Wang Chang could go around the front of the car, Gu Feng had already opened the door and got out. Let's go. Follow me. It was Sunday, and there weren't many people coming and going from the office building. Gu Feng led Wang Chang into the office building and took the elevator to the outside of Yunding Technology. There was only a young girl on duty at the reception desk. When she saw Gu Feng arrive, she put down the registration form in her hand, bypassed the reception desk, and ran up to the two of them. Mr. Gu, you're here. Mr. Chen and Mr. Yu are waiting for you in the office. I'll take you there right now. Just now, Secretarian specifically told me that the boss will be here later, and after seeing Gu Feng, she told her to take him to Mr. Chen's office right away. Okay, go. Wang Chang, you find a place to sit first. I may be a while. Okay, Mr. Gu. The receptionist led Gu Feng to Chen Zhengyan's office, while Wang Chang sat down in the lounge area. It was Sunday, so there weren't many people in the office. Yes, Mr. Gu, it's Sunday, so everyone is basically off. In the meantime, they had already arrived at Chen Zhengyan's office. They had known that Gu Feng was coming, so the door was wide open. Knock, knock, knock. Mr. Chen, Mr. Yu, Secretarian, Mr. Gu is here. After the receptionist finished speaking, Gu Feng strode into the office. Almost at the same time, Chen Zhengyang and the others, who had been sitting on the sofa chatting, all stood up at the same time and looked in unison towards the office door. After seeing Gu Feng, they came around the sofa to greet him as soon as possible. Mr. Gu, you're here. Please sit down. You sit first, I'll get you a glass of water. He gave Annie a wink, and Annie, dressed in professional attire, immediately understood what he meant and helped Chen Zhengyang greet Gu Feng and bring him to the sofa. Gu, have a seat. Well, I didn't expect to see all of you here. What are you chatting about, sitting together? Sit wherever you like. In Chen Zhengyang's office, apart from Annie and Chen Zhengyang, there were also Yu Yilan and Lu Qi. The fact that they were gathered together at this time meant that they were definitely not just chatting. Mr. Gu, we were just talking about the business forum this Saturday. Lu Qi stood to one side and explained calmly. At that moment, Chen Zhengyang came over with a glass of water, stood in front of Gu Feng, bowed slightly, and placed the glass in front of him. Oh, you all hurry up and sit down. To be honest, I'm also very interested in the solid-state battery forum this Saturday. Although there are certain risks, as a sunrise industry, the accompanying benefits are beyond imagination. President Chen, I think you share my views, don't you? The Solid Battery Research and Development Forum was introduced to him by Chen Zhengyang, and the other party must also be very interested, otherwise they would not have taken the initiative to introduce it to him. In response to Gu Feng's inquiry, Chen Zhengyang was not at all ambiguous, and responded with a full mouth, Yes, President Gu, I share your thoughts. High risk brings high reward, that's always true. This business forum has gathered quite a few high-end groups, and if there weren't unimaginable benefits, it wouldn't attract the attention of so many large groups. Well, that's true. Lu Qi nodded symbolically, and before Gu Feng arrived at the office, he and Chen Zhengyang had almost reached a unified opinion. The Pinnacle Competition project has fully matured, and he is now focusing most of his energy on the subworld. Overall, the pressure is not that great. If they really want to start developing solid-state batteries, there will be internal adjustments within the company, and some people from the technical department will have to be reassigned. As a technology company, the technical department is the backbone of the entire company and cannot be replaced. For this forum, Annie and Lu Qi, you two will accompany me. President Chen is in charge of the Kyushu Group's overseas business investigations, and for the time being, the company will let President Yu manage everything. Gu Feng gave his orders, and the people sitting around him agreed one after the other. President Gu, I still want to discuss the overseas business of Kyushu Group with you. Okay, go ahead. Leaning slightly lazily back on the sofa, he looked seriously at Chen Zhengyang with his eyes. Before speaking, he lifted the glass of water in front of him and gulped down half of it. President Gu, Kyushu Group is one of the leading large groups in the country and has a certain status in the international community. Shouldn't we strike the right tone in this investigation? The reason I say this is that I'm mainly worried about offending people. To become the head of the Kyushu Group is to have a very high status in the business world, and the relationships are even more complicated. If you're not careful, you could offend someone you shouldn't. Well, you're right. I'll put together a plan for you tonight, and you can investigate according to the plan I write. If there are no unexpected circumstances, this task can be completed within a week. Write Chen Zhengyang clearly what needs to be investigated before and after. With the other party's abilities, it may not even take a week, just 3 or 5 days. Good. Guzong, I'm relieved to hear that. Apart from the overseas business of the Kyushu Group and solid-state batteries, what else is there? Annie said on the phone that there were several things to report, and she's only just mentioned 2. Guzong, the development of the subworld is going well. Chen Zhengyang and I have discussed it and would like to arrange the server in advance. That's fine. You can discuss it with Mr. Chen. Are there any problems with funding? Lu Qi's gaze shifted from him to Chen Zhengyang. The latter didn't answer right away, but turned his head and looked at Annie and Yuilan. Mr. Gu, we've been focusing on developing the subworld, as well as expanding the office area and hiring more staff. The liquidity in the account is not particularly abundant. We also need to set aside some funds for the possible future investment in research and development of solid-state batteries. The promotion of the Pinnacle competition is still in progress, and there is not much profit yet. In addition to the early deployment and construction of servers for the subworld, a series of risk tests must also be carried out. The solid-state battery forum is about to start this Saturday, and they must also set aside some funds. If Lu Qi's request is granted, then they will not start researching and developing solid-state batteries. However, once they start investing in research and development, the capital chain of Yunding technology will definitely be affected. This is also the main reason why Yuilan and Chen Zhengyang have not agreed to Lu Qi's request. The funding issue is not a problem. First, we will meet the requirements of the subworld, and I will figure out the funding issue later. President Gu. Okay, President Gu. Yuilan nodded without thinking when she heard this. Lu Qi was surprised. He didn't expect Gu Feng to agree so readily. He should at least have thought about it. Director Lu, are you happy this time? Ha, I didn't expect President Gu to agree so readily. Chen Zhengyang happily teased. Lu Qi was moved inside, but he stuttered and couldn't say anything. Since the beginning of the peak competition, Gu Feng has always unconditionally believed in him, which makes him feel like a talented horse meeting its master. Chapter 149 Profit Statement. All right. President Chen, please don't joke around. Yuilan stepped forward to help Lu Qi diffuse the awkwardness, and then took out a stack of reports from somewhere. President Gu, the peak competition has had a good promotional effect and the response has been very good. This is the profit statement for this period of time, please take a look. In order to facilitate reporting to Gu Feng, she had specially asked someone to prepare a profit statement, which detailed a summary of the daily profits of the peak competition. She took the profit statement from Yuilan and started flipping through the pages, beginning with the first page. At first, she didn't feel anything was wrong, but as she got further into it, she gradually sat up straighter and her expression became more and more shocked. Yuilan, Annie, and Chen Zhengyang next to her all looked like they couldn't hold back their laughter, as if they had long expected the boss to be very surprised. What do you think, President Gu? Isn't this a big surprise? It really is unexpected. I didn't pay much attention to the Pinnacle competition some time ago, but I didn't expect it to be so powerful. If this pace continues, won't the quarterly profit be over 100 million? In just a few days, it has already generated revenue of up to 10 million, and the quarterly profit will definitely be over 100 million. It's not difficult to make over 100 million. The tentative quarterly net profit is 300 million. We have carefully calculated that if revenue continues to be generated at this rate, achieving the goal will not be difficult. 300 million? Yuilan spoke of 300 million right away, which made Gu Feng a little stunned. If we can really achieve 300 million in revenue, I might consider giving everyone a bonus. What do you think, President Yu? He closed the report and handed it back to Yuilan. Of course, what kind of bonus do you plan to give? Well, a bonus, how about that? Great, then I can thank you on behalf of all the employees. Wait. All the employees of the company? Yuilan's words directly confused Gu Feng. He meant to give rewards to the employees in charge of the Pinnacle competition project, but he didn't think of giving bonuses to all the employees of the company. Raising his hand to stroke the hair on his forehead, Yuilan pretended to be puzzled and said, President Gu, didn't you just mean to give bonuses to all the employees? Ha, then it will be done according to what you mean. By the way, is there anything else? The few people in the office looked at each other. They had already reported everything that needed to be reported, and there was basically nothing else. Mr. Gu, for the time being, there is nothing else. Okay, if there is nothing else, I will leave first. Mr. Chen, regarding the overseas investigation process of the Kyushu group, I will give it to you by tonight at the latest. Standing up from in front of the sofa, he casually straightened his clothes and walked towards the outside of the office. Gu Feng got up and left, and Chen Zhangyang and the others naturally got up to see him off. Wang Chang, who had been waiting in the break area, came to Gu Feng's side as soon as he saw him. Gu Feng's sudden appearance did not cause Chen Zhangyang and the others to pay much attention. The way the man was dressed, he was either a chauffeur or a bodyguard. After all, he was a boss, and it was only normal for him to have a chauffeur and bodyguard by his side. The group arrived at the elevator door, and when they saw that the elevator was about to arrive, Gu Feng turned around. It's fine, it's Sunday, there's not much to do, so I'll go home early and rest. I'll go first. Okay, Mr. Gu, take care. After watching Gu Feng board the elevator and leave, Chen Zhangyang and the others turned around and walked back to the company. Mr. Gu, where are we going next? Home. I've been gone for so long, I don't know if Su Liuli and Grandma picked a good room. The trip back to the villa was uneventful, and as soon as they got out of the car, their attention was immediately drawn to two figures not far away. An old man and a young man, both wearing aprons, were busy working on the lawn next to the flower bed. Quickly approaching the two, I take a closer look. Grandma and Su Liuli are each holding a small shovel in their hands, busily digging holes. They don't even notice someone suddenly appearing behind them. Grandma, can they really grow in this season? Don't worry, my girl, I'll build a simple greenhouse over them later, so they can grow even in the depths of winter, not to mention the season. Grandma carefully buried one pit after another with a small shovel in her hand. Su Liuli next to her did the same, listening to her grandma's words with a slightly flushed face full of curiosity. Standing behind them for a long time, the two of them didn't notice at all. There was no way to just stand there stupidly, so Gu Feng raised his hand to cover his mouth and coughed lightly. Ahem. Hearing the coughing sound behind her, the two of them turned around at the same time. Eh? Xiao Feng? You little rascal, when did you get back? One hand held a small shovel, and the other vigorously patted Gu Feng's arm. Fortunately, she was a little old lady with a good attitude, otherwise someone else would have been startled. Yes, when did you get back? Why wasn't there any noise? You scared me. With her chest half exposed, Su Liuli complained with a small mouth, but her eyes were full of surprise. I came back a long time ago. You two were so engrossed in your work that you didn't even notice when I came back. By the way, Grandma, what are you doing with Su Li? Standing on tiptoe, she looks through the gap between the two of them. There are a few seeds in each pit, but it's hard to tell what kind of plants they are. What do you mean, what are we doing? Grandma is doing something serious. These are tomato seeds that we just found in the villa's storage room. Su Li and I plan to plant them here. If we count the time, we should be able to eat them a year from now. Holding a shovel in her hand, Grandma is in high spirits. Come, Liuli, don't mind him, let's cover the rest of the soil together. Xiaofeng, if you're not busy, go over there and help Grandma bring the tarpaulin over. Chapter 150, let's go get the license. Good. Following Grandma's instructions, he turned around and walked towards the warehouse, and after searching for a while, he found the tarpaulin that the elderly person needed. He handed the tarpaulin to the two of them and returned to the living room of the villa by himself. Next, he still had to prepare things for Chen Zhangyang. Taking out his laptop, he recalled in his mind the various things that had happened before his rebirth, and after more than an hour, he wrote down the entire process completely. If he followed this investigation process and once the results were investigated, it would be a massive earthquake for the entire Kyushu group. The number of people affected will be countless. Send the file to Chen Zhangyang via email, and turn off the laptop after the email is successfully sent. Grandma and Su Liuli happened to be back from outside at this time. After half a day of busy work with a small shovel, they finally finished building the greenhouse. As long as the weather remains normal during this period of time, the seeds will sprout sooner or later. Grandma, let me help you go rest. What do you want to eat tonight? I'll make it for you. Helping her grandmother to the sofa, slowly letting the elderly person sit down, Su Liuli asked in a low voice. Grandma isn't hungry yet, you don't need to worry about it, just sit with her. Taking Su Liuli's delicate hand, she asked her to sit down next to her. Xiaofeng, go pour 2 glasses of water over here. Oh, okay. Getting up, she took the glasses and went to the water dispenser next to get 2 cups of warm water. We have to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning. Do you want to take some time off in advance? Gracefully, she lifted the glass in front of her, brought it close to her mouth, and took a small sip. Su Li smiled. For some reason, the thought that she would be going to the Civil Affairs Bureau to pick up her certificate the next morning made her heart race. She was nervous, but also a little excited and happy. I'll give them a call later. Don't you need to take a day off? No, I don't. Don't you remember, I only have electives left. Su Luli's voice was sweet. There were basically no more big events at school. The graduation project had already been submitted, and all that was left was to wait for the internship. After sitting in front of the sofa and chatting for a while, it was almost dinner time, so Grandma and Su Luli went to the kitchen to cook. It was rare for Gufeng to have some free time to himself, so he sat in the living room and waited for nearly 20 minutes. After just 20 minutes, the old and young had dinner ready. When they arrived in the dining room, Gufeng swallowed hard when he saw the few round bowls on the table. Grandma, you two have been busy for half a day and all you've cooked is 3 bowls of long noodle soup? What do you mean just 3 bowls of long noodle soup? Can't you see there are poached eggs and vegetables on top? Sit down and eat. Grandma sat Su Lili down to eat, and when Gufeng saw this, he had to sit down and join them. After dinner, they chatted for a while in the living room, and Grandma passed on a lot of tips on making clothes for children. Today's flight was quite tiring, and it was already 8 o'clock, so Grandma gradually began to feel a little tired. Lioli, let me help Grandma go back to rest. Gufeng got up and helped Grandma take her arm as he escorted her to her bedroom. After sending Grandma back to bed, he turned around and came back out to take Su Lili back to their room to rest. The next day came quickly. At 7 a.m., the two walked out of their bedroom one after the other and came to the living room, just in time to see Grandma coming out of the kitchen wearing an apron. Grandma? Why are you coming out of the kitchen? What are you doing? Cooking? Seeing that Grandma was wearing an apron, Gufeng and Su Luli hurriedly came to the elderly person. Today is the big day of getting your license, so you need to eat well in the morning. Grandma will cook red bean rice and dumplings for you. Let's taste them together later. You two, go sit in the dining room first, I'll be done here in a minute. After ushering Gufeng and Su Luli into the dining room, Grandma hurriedly turned back to the kitchen. Gazing blankly as the old woman left, Gufeng couldn't help but mutter to himself, after all these years, this is the first time I've seen Grandma so full of energy. Should we go and help? Worried that Grandma wouldn't be able to handle the workload alone, Su Lili wanted to go to the kitchen and help. But before she could take a step, she was stopped by Gufeng raising his hand. No need, Grandma's health isn't that bad. If the old lady likes it, let her keep busy. Sit down and take a break. Gufeng took Su Lili's shoulders and helped her sit down. Feeling that Gufeng had a point, Su Lili didn't insist. After sitting down for only 5 or 6 minutes, Grandma came out with a basin of bright red bean rice. Look, isn't this red bean rice pretty good? You two wait here, Grandma will go put the dumplings on the table. After placing the red bean rice on the table, Grandma turned around and went to the kitchen to get the dumplings. She stared curiously at the red bean rice in front of her. This was such a bright-colored staple food, and it was the first time she had seen it. How is this rice made? I can see that there are beans and rice, but why is it red? It's very simple. Just use sorghum to cook the rice. Sorghum is red, isn't it? The so-called lucky dumplings are also made by soaking and kneading sorghum, and boiling the dumplings in vegetable juice. After Gufeng explained it like this, Su Lioli's mind suddenly became a lot clearer. They waited until their grandmother had served the dumplings before sitting down to eat breakfast. The dumplings were brightly colored and tasted delicious. After breakfast, Gufeng took out his phone and called his instructor to ask for leave. When the time came, at 8:30, he took Su Luli and his grandmother to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Before they left, his grandmother took out some candy from the basket in the corner of the living room. They were going to get a marriage license, so they should bring some candy to share the happiness with others. Grandma, you are so considerate. If you hadn't reminded me, I would have forgotten all about it. After receiving the candy from the old lady, he greeted Wang Chang at the door, asked Grandma Su Lili to sit in the back of the car, and he got into the passenger seat of the Rolls-Royce. In order to keep a low profile, he deliberately ordered only one car. The location of the Civil Affairs Bureau is about 10 minutes from the villa. Sitting in the back row, they chatted quietly, and they had barely finished talking when they arrived. After getting out of the car, Su Lili and Gufeng looked around at the not-too-distant archway of the Civil Affairs Bureau. It was Monday, so there didn't seem to be a queue. There were no couples in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, and the three of them, with Sue Luley supporting her grandmother, entered the service hall together. At a glance, there were only 2 or 3 couples in the hall. "Luley, you support Grandma and go sit and rest, I'll go get a number." "Okay." "Grandma, let's go wait over there." "Okay." The old and young went to find a place to sit in the distance, and Gu Feng went to the machine to get a number. Number 4. The number on his hand was number 4, which meant that there were only 3 other couples in front of them. There were only about 3 couples waiting in the service hall, which meant that registration had not officially begun yet. After getting the number, he returned to his grandmother, and Su Luli and Wang Chang, as the bodyguard, stood very straight behind them. He was wearing a professional suit, and although he wasn't wearing sunglasses, it was not difficult to tell from his figure and stance that he was a bodyguard. In his hand, he also carried a small camera. It was the main tool that his grandmother was going to use to take pictures next. "Girl, you are going to get married to this brat soon, are you nervous?" Chapter 151, Legal Couple. A little bit. Grandma couldn't help but smile happily when she saw her raise a slender finger. "Apart from being nervous, aren't you also very happy? Getting married is a major event in life, so it's normal to be nervous." Back in those days, when Grandma and your grandfather got married, they couldn't sleep the night before. While comforting Su Lioli, Grandma also couldn't help but reminisce about her younger days. Number 1, come to the window to fill in the registration information. When the time was up, the voice of the staff from the Civil Affairs Bureau came from the loudspeaker in the window in the distance. Hearing the call, the couple sitting in the front row, a young couple, got up with smiles on their faces and held hands as they walked towards the window. After filling in the basic information, they began to verify their identity. In less than 10 minutes, they received 2 small notebooks. After the first couple finished registering, the second couple began to register, which took a little longer than the first. They were a little nervous about getting married and did not prepare a red background photo in advance, so they could only have their photos taken on site at the Civil Affairs Bureau. After nearly 20 minutes of registration, they finally finished. It was soon the turn of Gu Feng and Su Luli. The two sat side by side. Gu Feng was fine, but Su Luli's hands were clasped together so tightly that sweat was beginning to appear on the palms. "Luli." Su Luli was so nervous that Gu Feng gently placed his hand on the back of her hand. Feeling the warmth of his palm, Su Luli's heart grew calmer. In a moment, the voice from the window speaker called for number 4. Gu Feng, holding the couple's ID cards, led Su Luli to the window. "Hello, and congratulations on your marriage. Please register your basic information." The staff at the window were very enthusiastic, and while they were talking, they handed out 2 registration forms from the window. Each person took a registration form and registered their basic information, and handed their ID cards and photos to the staff. They watched as the stamp was placed on the red book, and then handed the 2 red books to the 2 people. "Congratulations on becoming legal husband and wife. Thank you. Here are the wedding candies for you." The staff was so enthusiastic that Gu Feng took 4 or 5 packs of candy and handed them to the staff inside through the window. On the desk next to the staff were various kinds of wedding candy, which showed that there were quite a few couples preparing for their wedding. "Thank you. There is a special photo booth over there. Take your marriage certificate and go take a photo." Following the direction of the staff, there was a small stage in the distance. In front was a registration desk, and on the back was a red background with several large characters engraved, "We are married." Holding their marriage certificates in their hands, the 2 followed the instructions of the staff at the window and went to the front of the stage. Seeing this, Grandma took the camera from Wang Chang and couldn't wait to come to the front. "Liuli, Xiaofeng, you 2 stand up there, Grandma will take your picture. Your mother is waiting for me to send her the photos." Not only did her as a grandmother want to see the 2 of them receive their marriage certificates, Song Huilan, who was far away in the imperial capital, also wanted to see it. The old lady took the camera and stood in front of the stage, looking very professional as she took photos of Gu Feng and Su Lioli. She took more than 10 photos in a row, changing the angle many times. In the end, Gu Feng took the initiative to say that was enough, otherwise he didn't know how many more photos she would take. "Grandma, let me see the photos." He took small steps to his grandmother's side, impatient to see the photos in the camera. Seeing Su Lioli's eagerness, Grandma immediately opened the camera and carefully looked at the dozen photos. "Amazing. Grandma, I never imagined that your photography skills were so good." Looking at the photos in the camera, Su Lioli couldn't help but give her grandmother a thumbs up. Each photo, whether it was the angle or the lighting, was captured perfectly. Not to mention that Grandma is so old, even the young people can't necessarily produce such results. What do you think? Grandma's photography skills have not let you down, have they? Today is the first day of receiving the certificate, and Grandma will send the photos to your parents later. This evening, the three of us, grandchild and grandparent, will celebrate. Grandma will book a restaurant and we'll go out for dinner tonight. Well, Grandma, are you treating? She handed the camera to Gufeng and Su Luoli embraced her grandmother's arm with both hands. After spending time together, Su Luoli had become more and more dependent on her grandmother, who had also become more and more indulgent with her, almost more so than with her own granddaughter. Grandma had a kind face and gently stroked Su Luoli's forehead with her hand. A gentle smile hung at the corner of her mouth. Silly girl, of course it's Grandma treating. Tonight, you can order whatever you want to eat, I guarantee you'll have a good meal. Okay. Grandma, let's go home first. Su Lily nodded obediently, her pretty, oval face beaming with a smile, as she helped her grandma walk towards the outside of the Civil Affairs Bureau. After successfully obtaining their marriage certificate, and as they sat in the car, Gufeng and Su Lily glanced at each other, both feeling a little incredulous inside. Looking down at the little red booklet in his hands, Gufeng suddenly felt like he was dreaming. When he first came to the Magic City to report for college, he never imagined that he would be getting married in a few months. The whole way, there was no conversation. When the car returned to the villa, it had just entered the gate when a few figures not far away attracted Gufeng's attention. The Rolls-Royce came to a stop, and Gufeng opened the door as soon as possible. After getting off the car, he realized that the people standing in the distance were actually a few ants. There were a total of 8 people, 6 of whom were in uniform, and the other 2, a man and a woman, were about 40 or 50 years old and looked very kind. Uncle Nyo, Auntie Sun. What brings you here? Gufeng was full of surprise when he saw the 2. Uncle Nyo was his grandfather's assistant, and after his grandfather's death, he had always stayed by his father's side. He never expected that he would come to the demon capital this time. As for Auntie Sun, Gufeng was quite calm inside. She had always stayed by his grandmother's side, and it was only normal for her to come with her this time when she came to the demon capital. Young master, the head of the family asked us to help take care of the old lady and young lady. Uncle Nyo, I've told you many times, don't call me young master, just phone. Ah, young master, Uncle Nyo is used to calling you young master, and he can't get used to the change. You'll have to forgive him. By the way, where are the old lady and young lady? Gufeng's gaze shifted away from him and looked at the Rolls-Royce behind him. Just then, Wang Chang opened the door of the Rolls-Royce, and Su Liuli helped her grandmother get out of the car slowly. Seeing this, Sun Ma hurriedly came forward to help. Young mistress, let me help you. Before coming, Madam specifically instructed that the current young mistress is in a special situation and her health must be protected. The reason for bringing so many people over is that in addition to taking care of the old lady, they also have to take care of Su Liuli, the young mistress. Chapter 152, Throwing Down Your Work? Turn the table over. Liuli, this is Sun Mama, you should have met her before. With her arm held by Sun Mama, Grandma didn't forget to turn her head and introduce Su Liuli first. Upon hearing this, Su Liuli looked at Sun Mama with beautiful eyes and softly said with her mouth open, Sun Mama. Hey, young mistress. I came this time specifically to take care of you and Grandma. If there is anything in your life, you can tell me. My cooking skills are not worse than Wang Mama's. Winking at Su Liuli, Sun Mama is obviously much happier than Wang Mama in terms of personality, and she likes to joke around more often. Really? Then can I learn cooking from you in the future? Upon hearing Sun Mama say that her cooking is good, a hint of surprise appears on Su Liuli's oval face. After returning from the imperial capital, she was worried that there was no way to continue learning cooking from Wang Mama. This is great, Sun Mama has come to the demon capital, and her cooking is even better than Wang Mama's. Ha ha ha, of course. As long as you want to learn, I promise to teach you with all my heart. Good, thank you, Grandma-san. Young lady, you're too polite, it's the least I can do. What would you like to eat tonight? I'll order the food this afternoon and cook it for you tonight. While they were talking, the two of them helped Grandma to the front door of the villa. Without immediately responding to Grandma Sun's words, Su Luli just looked at her grandmother, who was being helped in the middle. After getting the marriage certificate, Grandma said she wanted to go out to eat that night, and she would treat everyone. Feeling her granddaughter's gaze, Grandma straightened her slightly stooped back and said in a very opportune manner, "Today is a day worth celebrating, and I'm going to take everyone out to eat. You guys should come along too. Since it's a treat, then we should all go together. It wouldn't be fun if only the three of them ate. Old madam, you want to take us with you to eat?" Grandma's son's figure trembled slightly, and there was some hesitation in her eyes. "Well, after being by my side for so many years, you should know my character by now. If you go with me, just go with me, don't be polite." "Yes, old madam. I'll help you sit down first." "Young madam, you sit too." While helping Grandma Gufeng sit down, she didn't forget to raise her hand to indicate that Su Luli should also sit down. The old lady was right. Having followed her for so many years, she always did what she said. Since she had already decided to let them join her for dinner, she would not change her mind easily. Repeatedly refusing would only make the old lady angry. "I'll go get a glass of water." After making sure that Su Li and Gufeng's grandmother were sitting comfortably, Sun Mama took the cup and kettle to pour the water. At that time, Gufeng and Nyobo also came in from the outside. Behind the two men, there were several aunts who had come with Sun Mama. They briefly familiarized themselves with the environment and tidied up the living room and kitchen. They prepared some ingredients and would later cook some lunch. After pouring water for Su Li and Gufeng's grandmother, Sun Mama did not forget to give a few gentle instructions to the aunts. With Sun Mama's instructions, the aunts started to get busy one after the other. "Uncle Nyo, Sun Mama is here to take care of my grandmother, why did you come along?" Sun Mama was not far ahead taking care of her grandmother in Su Li, and Gufeng took the opportunity to look curiously at Uncle Nyo. "Your father told me to come. He's worried that you'll bully the young mistress, so he told me to supervise you." With a neutral expression, he glanced at Gufeng with his eyes and started walking towards the living room sofa. "Air. Supervise me? You're not joking with me, are you?" His mouth opened slightly, and he was about to follow Nyobo to the sofa to chat, but before he could take a step, his phone in his pocket suddenly vibrated. "Hello? Gufeng, what's going on with you? It's Monday, and you've taken the day off. When are you coming back? The instructor said you took the day off because of something. Do you need any help? If you do, just let us know, we promise to be there whenever you need us." On the other end of the line, the voices of Jiang Yu and Xiao Kai could be heard, chatting away, and he didn't even get a chance to say anything. "Phew. Gufeng, can you let me speak first?" As soon as he said that, the phone went quiet for a while, and the next second, Jiang Yu's voice came through. "Okay, go ahead. I'm just taking some time off, and I'll be going to school tomorrow. We can talk about it in person tomorrow. That's all for today, I'm hanging up." After quickly finishing his sentence, without waiting for Jiang Yu and Xiao Kai on the other end of the phone to respond, Gufeng hung up directly. He knew his two roommates too well. If he didn't hang up quickly, they would probably keep asking questions for a long time. Ring. Less than 2 seconds after the phone hung up, the phone in his hand vibrated again. Thinking it was Jiang Yu and Xiao Kai calling again, he was about to press the answer button when he suddenly saw that it didn't seem right. "Huh? You haven't left yet?" A slight frown appeared on her brow. The caller was none other than Chen Zhengyang. According to Chen Zhengyang, he flew to China this morning and should be getting ready to leave for the airport. No matter what, the call had to be answered. Without hesitation, she pressed the answer button. "Hello? Gu President Gu, are you busy?" There was a slight pause in his voice, and Chen Zhengyang sounded a little anxious and nervous. "No, what's up?" "Well, I've read the documents you gave me, Mr. Gu. I want to make sure with you that we really want to investigate according to the procedures listed above. I'm worried that this kind of investigation will cause major fluctuations in the Kyushu group." At this time, in the conference room of Yunding Technology, Chen Zhengyang stood next to the host, his brows knitted. On both sides of the conference room, in addition to Annie and Yuilan, there were several other company employees. These people were all preparing to go on a business trip with Chen Zhengyang. At this time, they should be preparing to go to the airport, but looking at the documents given to him by Gufeng, Chen Zhengyang really couldn't make up his mind for a while. Under normal circumstances, this overseas trip would just be a token investigation. It would be enough to weed out a few insignificant minions, but he really didn't expect his boss's appetite to be so big. According to the investigation process in Gufeng's documents, this has gone beyond the scope of losing one's job. This is practically about to turn the tables. Not to mention, he was not sure if the Kyushu group could withstand the turmoil. "Just follow the investigation process I gave you. Okay, Mr. Gu. After making a special phone call to confirm, and with the boss saying this, Chen Zhengyang also dispelled the last bit of worry in his heart. He was just a hard-working person, and he would do whatever his boss told him to do. Putting down the phone in his hand, Annie and Yuilan looked at each other in perfect unison. Dressed in a sexy business suit, Annie stepped forward in her slender high heels and said to Chen Zhengyang, "What did President Gu say?" "Investigate normally." "Phew. Then we'll do as President Gu asks. I'll work with President Yu here at the company, and Chen Zhengyang, you'll have to work hard on the overseas business of the Kyushu Group. As a secretary, you must obey your boss's every command. This Saturday's solid-state battery forum, President Yu and Secretary In, pay more attention. President Gu also attaches great importance to this forum, so there must be no slip-ups. Time is pressing, let's set off immediately. Go!" Without bothering to sit down again, they left the meeting room with the phone in their hands, ready to go on a business trip. After hanging up the phone, Gu Feng slowly walked over to the sofa. Niu Bo and Sun Ma accompanied Grandma and Su Luli as they chatted, sitting down next to Su Luli. Grandma